Everyone, if you all would make your way in and find a seat, please. We're about to get started. Please take a moment and silence your cell phones, any other electronic devices you may have, as to not disturb the proceedings today. We'd sincerely appreciate it. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. The Seminole County Board of County Commission meeting shall now be called to order. We're going to have the pledge led by Mr. Matt Hassan today, and Kurt from our own SGTV group is going to lead us in prayer. Kurt, if you would so, please rise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you would please join me in prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we give you praise today and thanks for the many blessings you have given each of us as your adopted children. We ask that you bless this meeting today and give wisdom and understanding to our commissioners and staff as they work through the items before them today. We are grateful for the many natural treasures that you have created for us to enjoy right here in Seminole County. Help us to be good stewards of our natural resources along with the taxpayers' money of this county. We thank you for your unconditional love for us and the sacrifice of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, for the forgiveness of our sins and eternal life in his name. Help us to love our neighbor as ourselves and be quick to help those in need. Please protect our veterans serving our country and all in public safety who leave their loved ones each day, seeking to protect the lives of others. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Matt. We sincerely appreciate it very much. We're going to have proclamations and service recognitions next. We'll do photographs on the proclamation as soon as we're done with it. Then we go to the employee recognition. I would ask that we wait till all the employees are recognized, and we'll have everybody come down and do photos at that time. The first proclamation is declaring February 2025 as Black History Month in Seminole County. I will read that and move the motion to move the proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in Seminole County, Florida. Whereas Black History Month, or National African American History Month, was instituted in 1926 as Negro History Week by Dr. Carter G. Woodson on the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas President Gerald R. Ford officially recognized Black History Month during the 1976 United States Bicentennial Celebration as a time of great national significance to honor the accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the Association for the Study of African American Life and History has designated the theme of 2025's Black History Month as African Americans and Labor, and whereas this year's theme underscores how African Americans have greatly contributed to the nation's economy throughout history by being involved in various labor sectors, and whereas Seminole County is proud to honor the contributions of African Americans to the labor history of our county, state, and nation. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in Seminole County and encourages all residents to join in celebrating the importance of African Americans in our history. Adopted this 11th day, February 2025.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. We have with us today Chris Baker, Battalion Chief from the Seminole County Fire Department, and KJ Boggs from Veteran Service Manager, Community Services, to receive the proclamation. If y'all would come forward, please.
my count. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Next up, we have Ms. Christina Brandolini, who will do our employee service recognition. Ms. Brandolini?
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Christina Brandolini, Human Resources Director. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of recognizing employees for their years of service to Seminole County. And today, all of our recipients are from the Fire Department. So I am going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Matt Hetler.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Deputy Chief Matt Hetler with the Fire Department. We have 7 employees that we're recognizing. We're going to start with the 20-year employees. First up is Management Support Specialist Annie Magluta. Gotta come stand next to me. There you go. So Ms. Magluta graduated from South Miami High School and began her career with Bell South Telecommunications for 18 years before coming to Seminole County. In 2004, she was served with the EMS billing department and continually handles our department's payroll. Annie lives in Winter Springs and has a son, Kevin, who also works for the department at the Fire Training Center as a fire support technician. All right, thank you. Next, with 20 years of service, is firefighter paramedic Jason Rappa. Firefighter paramedic Rappa moved from Fort Lauderdale to Seminole County in 1996 after serving in the Army as a tank crew member. In 2003, firefighter paramedic Rappa attended Seminole State College and obtained his credentials to start a career in the fire service. Since being hired, firefighter paramedic Rappa has been on the tower team, shot team, and is now serving in our community paramedicine. Jason has been married for 27 years to his wife Ting and has 2 adult sons, Taz and Kason. Next, with 20 years of service, is Lieutenant John Curtis. Lieutenant Curtis began his fire service career with the Brevard County Fire Rescue Department in October of 2000, and in 2004 started with the Seminole County Fire Department. Lieutenant Curtis completed his EMT training in 1998 and his paramedic certification in 2000, along with completing his ARF training while assigned at Station 41. Lieutenant Curtis currently holds an AS degree in EMS and Fire Science and EMS, and a State Certified Fire Officer 2, and is a Florida Health and Safety Officer. Lieutenant Curtis was promoted to the rank of lieutenant in March of 2012 and has spent most of his time serving at Station 22. For the last 5 years, he has served as B-Shift Lieutenant at Station 43, serving the citizens of Chiliota. Next, with 20 years of service, is Lieutenant Chris James. Lieutenant James graduated from Oviedo High School in 1995, and in March of 2004 began his fire service career with the City of Sanford Fire Department. In October of 2004, Lieutenant James started working for Seminole County Fire Department, and in 2007 became a paramedic. In May 2019, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and is currently assigned to Station 29. James currently lives in the city of Oviedo with his wife and 3 children. Next, with 20 years of service, is Battalion Chief Thomas Imeson. Battalion Chief Imison graduated from high school in Virginia and in 2001 moved to the Orlando area. He graduated EMT Fire Standards in 2003 from Seminole State College, and in 2004 began his career with the Castleberry Fire Department. He has continued his education, completing the paramedic program where he received an AS degree in EMS and continued his fire officer classes and obtained a second AS degree in fire science. Battalion Chief Imison was part of the consolidation from Castleberry Fire Department to the Seminole County Fire Department. Shortly after the consolidation, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and assigned EMS 1 position during COVID. In 2023, he was promoted to the rank of battalion chief and is currently serving as the battalion chief of EMS. Battalion Chief Imison is married with a son, Archer, and a daughter, Ansley. Next up with 20 years of service is Assistant Chief Amy Ginwright. Chief Ginwright is a graduate of Oviedo High School and a former Oviedo Fire Department Explorer. Immediately following her high school graduation, she attended Seminole State College and obtained the credentials necessary to join the Castleberry Fire Department. In 2015, Chief Ginwright joined the Seminole County Fire Department through the merger between Castleberry and Seminole County. From there, she served as Tech 1 and later rose through the ranks. She currently serves as an Assistant Chief of Fire Support. Chief Ginwright resides in the Oviedo area and is married with 2 daughters. Last, we have, with 25 years of service, Battalion Chief James Monahan. Chief Monahan started his career in 1999 with the Winter Springs Fire Department. During his time at Winter Springs Fire Department, Chief Monahan became a paramedic in 2000 and promoted through the ranks, becoming an engineer in 2002, then a lieutenant in 2007. Chief Monahan started with Seminole County Fire Department in 2008 after the merger, and in 2019 promoted to the rank of battalion chief. And that concludes everybody that we have for years of service.
Thank you. Good stuff. We sincerely appreciate all the time that you all have put in and the time your families have allowed you to be away from your families while you're serving the residents of Seminole County. With that said, if you'll join us for a photo opportunity, if you have anybody from your family you want a special photo with, by all means, we'll take the time and allow that as well. Thank you.
Or we'll get out of the way and you can take a picture with us.
Stack of 23, stack of 25, 1 of 26, 2 non-agenda, and then 4 written all on 23.
Got it. One step to your left, please.
Are you good?
That is good.
Thank you.
Perfect. Everybody right here on my count in 3, 2, 1. All set.
Okay, that's perfect. I think that's the only thing, but I'll make sure to mark it. Oh, yeah, I'll bring it.
Right now on my count in 3, 2, 1. Right here on my count in 3, 2, 1. All set. I got to do rapid fire today. Trying to help you all get out of here. Right here on my count. In 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Right here on my count. In 3, 2, 1. Everybody all set? Right here on my count. In 3, 2, 1. All right. And we're gonna do one big one. We get one big one.
There we go. Yeah. You guys get in the front. Get in the front.
Love it. Perfect. All right. Everybody right here on my count. In 3, 2, 1. All right.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
20 more.
All right, we'll give folks a minute to flee. Our next item up is item number 3, legislative priorities. Ms. Johnson was not able to be here today. We are going to pull this from the agenda, and the county manager's office will get with each one of you with any questions you might have and decide whether it'll be back on the agenda at some future date, but everybody will get filled in. Next item up is we're going to move to our consent agenda. If anybody is here to speak on any of the items 4 through 19, please fill out a form in the front lobby. It's a yellow form, as Dominique will show. Hold up. If you will write the item in which you desire to speak upon, and if you will bring it down to Dominique and also indicate your full name and address, contact information, as well as whether you're in favor or against that item, we will call you up when the time's appropriate. We will move to the county manager to see if there's any revisions in the consent agenda. Do you have any updates, Mr. County Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Just a few changes, as always, right? Item number 7 under the consent, we are going to pull that and place it with the public hearing item number 25. So we're going to do item 25, and then we'll do 7 right after that, following that one. And then also would like to pull from the consent item number 8, and this is a notification issue that we just want to ensure that proper notification has went out, so we'll bring that one back, and we'll pull item number 11. And this one, as a joint project with the City of Oviedo, we just want to ensure we have all of our ducks in a row on that one before we bring it back.
Okay,
That's it.
so for clarity, you want to move number 7 to the public hearing portion of the meeting?
Correct.
And you're pulling number 8 and number 11?
Correct.
Okay,
And that's all.
very good. Any commissioner have a desire to pull any of the other items? Seeing none, we will move to the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latour, which will read the rules of public participation.
Certainly. Good afternoon. Florida law provides that members of the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard on propositions before the Board of County Commissioners, except when the board is acting on emergency or ministerial matters or conducting a meeting exempt from the requirements of the Sunshine Law. Individuals shall be permitted 3 minutes each for public comment, or 6 minutes when the individual is an official representative of a formal association or group. The chairman may modify the maximum time for public comment at his sole discretion when appropriate. Public comments on quasi-judicial or other public hearing items will occur during the board's consideration of those items. Public comments on pending procurement matters or on agenda items on non-agenda items shall not be permitted at this time. Members of the public desiring to make public comment must fill out a speaker form and present the form to staff, and forms are available in the lobby. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latour. Ms. Dominique, do we have any forms submitted for the items that were pulled, item 8 or 11?
No, not for those, sir.
Okay, and do we have anything that was submitted for item 7, which has been moved to public hearing?
No, sir.
Okay. We will then ask you to read the person's name and which item they desire to speak on, if there is anybody.
We have one speaker, Nathan Wright, in opposition to item 15.
Item 15,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wright, please come down. And if you would state your name and address for the record, please, we'll set the timer at 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Wright, 5225 Tech Data Drive, Clearwater, Florida. I got a couple things I'd like to pass around to you guys. I think I got 7 copies there.
Mr. Wright?
Yes,
if you'll
sir.
give us,
Oh,
please proceed.
sorry. It is extremely disheartening that we find ourselves in a situation that could have been avoided had staff operated the way this system was intended. There was no substantial reason or justification that I have found for 2023 RFP 604614 to be canceled. After Hilton was not recommended for public record emails, they quickly asked what they could do. They had received a copy of the 2023 bids. Per public record emails, they scheduled a meeting with what looked to be Amy Lockhart. While I'm uncertain of the phone conversation, the email stated they would match the county commission to 18%, and they had an overlooked PowerPoint. This is odd, as Wright's bid was 18% on this project. Upon further investigation of the PowerPoint, this was created after the due date and time had passed, essentially meaning it was never overlooked and simply never existed to begin with. It was confirmed by Louis Straffy, the procurement analyst, via an email sent to the procurement manager, Diane Reed, that Hilton's bid submittal mentioned nothing regarding 18% and no PowerPoint was included. If that's not enough, they use an image from my proposal packet turned in by Wrights to create said PowerPoint that they were claiming was overlooked. Bottom line is the plagiarism I spoke of and all the other illustrations and original protests had begun long before 2024. A letter of recommendation from Alan Harris, the Seminole County Emergency Management Manager, should deem them to have a rejected bid. Upon research of this letter, Recreation and Parks Director Rick Durr and Deputy Director Michael Worsing was copied in. In their position, why would they not speak up and inform Hilton that their communication to county employees was not allowed during an open RFP while the cone of silence was active? I sent a protest with several issues involved. Most items listed were disregarded, other than an unbalanced bid. Isn't the bid percentage 10.6 in 2023 versus 21% in 2024? Doesn't that appear to be unbalanced? Is this why staff is attempting to stop me from talking about 2023? Both years are incriminating, but 2024 does not look to be unbalanced if you avoid looking at 2023. Then I filed an appeal, and the committee was formed. Rick Durr...
Mr. Wright, you need to wrap it up, sir.
Okay. Rick Durr was part of that formed committee. In my opinion, he had already allowed wrongdoing to take place with the letter of recommendation previously stated. So how would he be a neutral or impartial party for the county manager to place on the appeal committee? The committee was instructed that they were only there to decide if 2024 was unbalanced. There were many instances where the
Mr. Wright,
committee...
your time has expired, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we've got a commissioner that has something on the consent agenda.
Well, I could just say what it is.
Yeah.
So my apologies. I should have pulled item 17 because I need to, yes, no one reminded me. And I have to be responsible for myself up here, I guess. I have a conflict with item 17, so that needs to be pulled for separate consideration, and I will actually leave the dais for any discussion or vote that might occur. And I'll complete the required form and submit it within the 15 days.
Fair enough.
All right?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We'll bring number 17 up. Is there anyone else to speak on this item?
No, sir.
We'll close public input on this item.
If we could do the consent agenda?
Yeah, let's go ahead with the consent. Let's get that out of the way. I'll be
Mr.
looking for a
Chairman?
motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move the constitutional officer's consent agenda number 4 and the county manager's consent agenda 5 through 19, with the exceptions of 7, which will be discussed later, 8 being pulled, and 11 being pulled, and 17 for individual conversation.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Okay, that leaves us with number 17, item 17. Commissioner Lockhart is recusing herself. We'll give her a moment to leave the dais. Okay, item 17, looking for a motion, please.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. All right,
4 with 1 abstention.
with 1 abstention, that's correct. Madam Dominique, do we have anyone else that wishes to speak on any of the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't think so, just wanted to make sure. Very good. We will move on to our public hearing portion. Well, actually, we're going to move to what was pulled. You want to do that first, correct?
No, we're going to do that with item 25.
Okay.
So,
You want to join them together then?
correct.
Got
correct.
it. All right, I thought I heard you want to do it after 25. Got it. Okay, our first item up is, on our regular agenda, is item number 20, reduction of lien request. This will be presented by Alexis Bergoni, Code Enforcement Clerk. Ms. Bergoni?
Good afternoon. For the record, Alexis Valle, Clerk to the Code Enforcement Office, presenting item number 20, appeal of Deputy County Manager's denial of lien reduction request. So the code enforcement violation on this parcel remains in rubble of a structure. The applicant purchased the property via tax deed in April 2024, and at that time, 4 county code enforcement liens were attached to the property. Surplus funds from 2 tax deed sales resulted in the satisfaction of 3 of the code enforcement liens on the property. Applicant requests to reduce the remaining lien from $24,781.10 to $0. Summary of the case. Again, violation remains a rubble of a structure. On March 24, 2016, the Code Enforcement Board established a date for the respondent to come into compliance, which was June 15, 2017. The date was not met, so there was an order reducing the accrued fine to administrative costs. On August 24, 2017, the compliance hearing, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order reducing the accrued fine to administrative costs totaling $617 if paid within 30 days of the order, or the original amount of $40,500 will be imposed. As no payment was received within the given time frame, the fine amount reverted to $40,500, including administrative costs. The lien secured is $41,117. The applicant's tax deed purchases. For the first tax deed sale, the applicant purchased the property, which is referred to as the house property, in November 2023 for $102,500. The county applied for and received tax deed surplus funds. For the tax deed sale number 2, to combine lots and rectify a building encroachment issue, applicant purchased the adjoining property in April 2024 for $37,990. The county applied for and received tax deed surplus funds. The county collectively received surplus funds in the amount of $120,602.21. The property's 2024 certified assessed value is $137,001. Presented here is a table for breaking down the lien amounts, the amount paid, and the source of payment. and the bottom column is the total remaining lien. The Deputy County Manager's basis of denial for the applicant's request for reduction. If a property owner has purchased property on which a lien was recorded, a waiver or reduction on lien shall not be granted. In such cases, the lien should have been considered in reaching a purchase price per the administrative code. Appeal of the Deputy County Manager's denial. The applicant requests that the board make an exception to its established guidelines and reduce or entirely waive the remaining amount secured by the lien, which is $24,781.10, for the following reasons. Reason 1, there was community improvement. Applicant did not create, yet rectified the violations. Applicant reports having cleaned up the vacant property next door, ridding the neighborhood of an eyesore. Number 2, the county received a collective total of $120,602.21 in surplus funds. Number 3, the applicant requests that the board reconsider the application and generally the county's lien reduction process. The applicant's requested action on this case is that the board consider and make a final determination on applicant's written appeal from the Deputy County Manager's denial of applicant's request for reduction of the lien to $0, and should the lien amount be reduced, authorize the chairman to execute a satisfaction of lien upon payment of the approved reduced amount, if any. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any inquiries of staff at this point? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make a statement? If so, please come forward. Give us your full name and address for the record.
Hi, Morgan Vogt, 1280 Amanda Street, Altamont. So I have come before you all for several years now requesting that something get figured out for the lien process, for the code enforcement process, for the whole deal, to make it work better for community, for everyone in general. That was all hypothetical, and here I am with the problems on me. So I'm asking for grace, forgiveness, empathy, pity, whatever, for, again, not just me, but everybody here. So the situation with this one first, we owned the house next door that we'd purchased prior to that. We find out later on that back in the 70s, whenever it was built, they decided to build the house 19 feet across the property line, so we have 2 bedrooms of the house on someone else's property, coincidentally a dead guy. So we were forced to buy that property to not have our house extorted and somebody could bulldoze half of the house off. With that vacant property came these enormous amount of the $120,000 of liens. Before we ever owned it, before we ever even tried buying it, we had already cleaned the thing up just because it looked terrible. The grass was this tall. So it encourages homeless camps, it encourages rats and all the things. I live in the community. I'm all about let's make everything look good, not just for me, but for everybody. So here we are, begging, pleading, I need your help. But with that, we need to figure something out that can happen for future reference going forward. It discourages anyone to buy any of these dilapidated houses, dilapidated properties, because they come with that. So, we've spoken, I totally get the thing of if someone's malicious or lazy and not wanting to clean up their properties, that's a different story. There needs to be some sort of case-by-case evaluation to see what are you working with, what is the person trying to do, what is the intention, that kind of thing. Part of my request also, not to continue pushing a little further, but
Please don't. Just keep it on point to this item.
It's with this item. I'm also requesting that my original request to reduce the lien, as well as my appeal to the Deputy County Manager's additional fee, not be saved by the county, but sit there for somebody that needs it to be able to appeal to you all to get their reduced liens. We could afford to pay the request. I figured, let's say it was $400, $500, and then I think $200. So if that can go to somebody deserving that needs to come to you all, because there's a lot of people that they're choosing, medications or apply to you all. So see what you got.
Okay.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vogt. Any inquiries of the applicant? Seeing none, is there anybody here to speak on this matter from the public?
No, sir.
We'll close any public input. We'll move to board action. This is Commissioner Lockhart's district, District 4. Commissioner?
Mr. Vogt and I have been talking for quite some time about the East Altamont community and their desire to help clean it up, and asking the county to make our process something that is easier for them to help clean it up. And these conversations started long before this happened,
Years.
as he indicated. So I would like to, Commissioners, make a motion to approve the request to reduce the lien to $0, and authorize the chairman to execute a satisfaction of lien upon payment of the approved reduced amount, if any. That's my first motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
I would like to take up the other request of the fees that Mr. Vogt paid to the county for our process to be able to be paid forward in some way to the next person in line behind them, so that others could have an opportunity to access this process.
Okay, is that something that the county manager can?
Of course, we could probably do something, but there is no, if you would just, give us some time to think of, because as you know, we're, with us bringing the code enforcement process underneath the board again, as you all had recommended, there's a couple other improvements that we would like to make. So I would like to bring that all with that, if that's possible, but right now we don't, I wouldn't even know how to administer those funds at this point. So if you would give us some time to come up with a process like that, I'd be more than happy. Then we can get a hold of Mr. Vogt and bring it back to you all.
All right.
Sure.
I withdraw the motion.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign?
We already
Carries.
we already voted on that.
I'll just do it again.
I didn't get the opposed sign part, but y'all go right ahead. So, carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item up is item 21, reduction of lien request. This will be also put on by Miss Alexis Brignoni.
Good afternoon. Again, Alexis Five, Seminole County Clerk to the Code Enforcement Board, presenting item number 21. Deputy County Manager's denial of lien reduction request. There are 3 liens in this presentation. The code enforcement violations are for unpermitted construction, uncultivated vegetation, and remains in rubble of a structure. All 3 code enforcement liens total $292,056.62. And the applicant purchased the property via tax deed in February 2024. The county received surplus funds of $16,852.20, reducing the amount secured by the liens to $275,204.42. All liens remain on the property. Applicant brought the property into compliance and requests to reduce lien from $275,204.42 to $0. Summary of the first case, which is going to be 19-133 CEB. The violation is for remains in rubble of a structure. August 22nd, 2019, the Code Enforcement Board issued a findings of fact, giving the respondent a compliance date of September 22nd, 2019, or a daily fine of $100 may be imposed. At the next compliance hearing, February 27, 2020, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order finding non-compliance and imposing the fine/lien $15,800 for 150 days of non-compliance, continuing to accrue at 100 days until compliant. The property was brought into compliance as of February 20th, 2024. This lien totals $161,936.11. For the next case, 19-134 CEB, this is for uncultivated vegetation. Again, on August 22nd, 2019, the Code Board issued a findings of fact, giving the respondent a compliance date of September 22nd, 2019, or a daily fine of $50 may be imposed. As of the compliance hearing, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order finding non-compliance and imposing a $7,900 fine for 158 days of non-compliance, continuing to accrue at $50 daily until compliant. The property was brought into compliant, again, February 20th, 2024, making this lien total $81,386.11. For the final case, 2107 CESM. This is for construction without a required permit. On May 13th, 2021, the special magistrate issued a findings of fact requiring the respondent a compliance date of July 14th, 2019, or a daily fine of $50 may be imposed. At the compliance hearing, the special magistrate issued an order providing for final costs and imposing lien, imposing a $4,600 fine for 92 days of noncompliance, continuing to accrue daily at $50. The property was brought into compliance as of March 5th, 2024. The lien totals $48,734.40. The applicant's tax deed purchase. There was a tax deed sale. The applicant purchased the property by tax deed in February 2024 for $23,000. The county applied for and received surplus funds in the amount of $16,852.20. As the surplus funds were not sufficient to satisfy any of the liens on the property, all 3 liens remain on the property. The property's 2024 certified assessed value is $29,429. As previously stated, this table shows all 3 liens and amount paid, if any, along with the remaining lien. The Deputy County Manager's basis for denial of the applicant's request for reduction: if a property owner has purchased property on which a lien was recorded, a waiver or reduction on lien shall not be granted. In such cases, the lien should have been considered in reaching a purchase price per the administrative code. Appeal of Deputy County Manager's denial. The applicant requests that the board make an exception to its established guidelines and reduce or waive the total remaining amount of $275,204.42 secured and owed by the liens for the following reasons. Number 1, community improvement. Applicant did not create any property violations, yet quickly rectified property violations which impact the entire surrounding area, given rats, homeless, camps, etc., that take advantage of such situations. Applicant reports compliance within less than a week, while the property was an eyesore for all neighbors for many years. Number 2, the applicant corrected the violations. The violations were not caused by the applicant, who quickly remedied the violations after acquiring the property. Number 3, the administrative costs. The applicant is requesting a total reduction or waiver of the administrative costs. Additionally, the applicant requests their application fee for this appeal be used for less fortunate individuals' lien reduction application fee. Number 4, the applicant requests that the board reconsider the application and generally the county's lien reduction process. Number 5, the applicant submitted 1 request for a collective reduction of the liens to $0. The applicant requested action. The applicant requests that the board consider and make a final determination on applicant's written appeal from the Deputy County Manager's denial of applicant's request for reduction of the liens to $0, and should the amounts of the liens be reduced, authorize the chairman to execute the respective satisfaction of liens upon payment of the approved reduced amount, if any. That concludes my presentation.
Any inquiries to staff? Anyone here from the public fill out a form to speak on this item?
No, sir.
We'll close the public input. Is the applicant here to speak on this matter?
Hello again, Morgan Vogt, 1280 Manor Street, Altamont. I forgot a couple things with the last one. So I have sadly been to the Code Enforcement Board multiple times because multiple times I've put up fences and didn't pull a permit until after the fact. But one of the things they always tell you in there is that specifically that the fines and liens are not to have the county profit, they are there to encourage compliance. So overall, with all the money that's already on those, after actual administrative costs from the county's already exceeded $14,600 on this property. The county already exceeded $119,985 on the other property. So we're not washing necessarily to zero. The county got a substantial more amount of money than what they put out, we'll say. So I'm requesting the same grace, forgiveness, pity, all the things, and as well how do we figure it out here moving forward for everyone's sake.
Okay. Any inquiries from the board? I do. Were you aware of the liens before you decided to purchase this on a tax sale?
I was not aware of the ones on this one. I was aware on the other one. The other one, I didn't have a choice. We were, I don't want to say bullied into it, but we literally had a house that was 19 feet on someone else's property, so we needed to buy it regardless. This one, I was unaware. I did not search. It was just a tax deed sale that we bought, looking to have my in-laws eventually have a place to move to Florida, and
Right.
here we are.
But is this something you regularly undertake, is buying
We
tax deed
bought-
properties?
Maybe bought 5, let's say, as a ballpark idea.
So you do have an awareness that you should do some due diligence or
Correct.
have some title search done to verify this and what liens may or may not be there.
Title searches are harder than you think. If you call a title company and ask them to do that, they it's not a quick, simple thing. We've tried that. I don't know how you can quick simplify that kind of thing, but
Get a hold of me after the meeting, I'll hook you up with 3 or 4 that can do it for you.
sounds good.
Pretty simple process. Just got to write a check, that's all.
Yeah, right. It's only money.
So, great. All right, any other inquiries before we go to the district commissioner? Commissioner Constantine, this is your district?
Yes.
District 3?
The public hearing is now closed.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vogt. You can sit down. This one is different. I concur with what Commissioner Lockhart said about the previous one. I think that's wonderful. I don't think that anybody's ever been bullied into buying a property for over $100,000, but that's what Mr. Vogt said. But in this case, this was a separate property that he was buying. If he did not know, he should have known of the liens. The excess value of it that we received of $16,000 was over a $92,000 in liens. And I understand the difference between what we get and what we find. But the thing that in this case, we had, and I asked the county attorney, $2,206.62 was our costs. I don't believe that the citizens and taxpayers of Seminole County should have to pay those, especially when the appraised value is 29, bought it for 23, still has a profit value in there, and therefore I will move that the property it be reduced to the administrative cost of $2,206.62.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item up is going to be our public hearing agenda. I will look for proof of publication. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Ex parte disclosure. Mine has been submitted to the clerk electronically.
Mine has been submitted to the clerk electronically.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be submitting mine here, hot paper.
Okay.
We submitted electronically, and also we'll give it to the clerk so that in case anybody needs to review it, it's there for them to review.
And I submitted electronically both last night and continuing on today. So I had given it electronically.
All right, I'll remind anyone, if you're here to speak on any of these items, make sure you get in the lobby, get a form, fill it out for the item you want to speak about, whether you're in favor or against, with your name and address, contact information. We'll call you up when the item is ready to be heard. We will now go to the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latour, for the rules of public participation in this portion of the hearing.
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision and quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of the proceedings and the official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latour. And the first item up is going to be a continued item from the January 14th, 2025 Board of County Commission meeting. This is Eagle Pass rezone. It will be put on by Ms. Annie Silloway. Our staff will give the presentation. I will then ask the applicant whether they want to make any statements to the board. We will then move to public participation. If you have a form filled out, you'll be allowed to speak on this item for 3 minutes, 6 minutes if you are a legally represented homeowners association or other recognized entity. We will then close public participation, and we will go back to the applicant for any rebuttals, and we will go to board action from there. So, Ms. Silloway, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Annie Silloway, Senior Planner with Development Services. This is the Eagle Pass rezone. The applicant is requesting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C3 Heavy Commercial and Very Light Industrial in order to develop the subject property for an office and self-storage facility in compliance with the C3 zoning district, which permits general office, commercial, and wholesale distribution. The request is consistent with the Land Development Code of Seminole County, Chapter 30, Part 43, and is compatible with the surrounding trend of development in the area. The subject property has an industrial future land use designation, which allows a floor area ratio of 0.65 and is consistent with the zoning classification of C3. The requested C3 zoning classification requires a minimum of 25% open space. And the applicant is proposing access onto State Road 426. And State Road 426 is classified as a minor arterial and is currently operating at a level of service D and does not have any improvements programmed into the county 5-year capital improvement program or the FDOT 5-year work program. The applicant conducted a community meeting on October 14th, and the Planning and Zoning Commission met on December 4th, 2024, and voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 to C3. On January 14th, 2025, the Board of County Commissioners voted unanimously to continue the Eagle Pass rezone to the February 11th, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting to allow Public Works Engineering Department to reach out to the consultants of the stormwater management study to find out for sure if there are any issues or not with the drainage on the subject site. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C3 Heavy Commercial and Very Light Industrial for approximately 9.40 acres located on the west side of State Road 426 at Eagle Pass Road. And that concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Ms. Silloway.
Thank you.
Any questions for staff at this moment? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make any statements? If so, please come forward. You concur with staff, is that what you're saying? Yes. Okay, very good. Ms. Dominique, do we have anybody here from the public wishes to speak on this item?
No, sir.
All right, we'll close public input and public hearing portion. We will move to the district commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, make the motion to adopt an ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 Agricultural to C3 Heavy Commercial and Light Industrial, to Very Light Industrial, of approximately 9.40 acres located on the west side of State Road 426 at Eagle Pass Road.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Here is none. Carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item up is number 23, Raymond Avenue partial right-of-way vacate. This will be presented by staff member Ms. Joy Giles. Ms. Giles, you're up.
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Principal Planner for the Planning and Development Division. The applicants David and Shanna Larson, Maria Fernandez, and Jared Pittman have petitioned Seminole County to vacate and abandon a portion of an undeveloped right-of-way known as Raymond Avenue, located in Section 11, Township 21 South, Range 29 East of Seminole County, approximately 1,500 feet north of Central Parkway in Altamont Springs. The portion of undeveloped right-of-way subject to the vacate request is approximately 5,400 square feet in size and is adjacent to the east perimeter of Lot 23 of the Raymond Oaks subdivision and the west perimeter of Lot 1 of the West Altamont Heights subdivision.
In the late 1990s, the developer of the Raymond Oaks subdivision installed a sidewalk approximately 105 feet in length within the undeveloped right-of-way adjacent to the east perimeter of Lot 23, as shown in the agenda attachment labeled Raymond Avenue Existing Sidewalk and Fence Location. The developer installed portions of a 4-foot-tall and a 6-foot-tall ornamental open picket fence in the undeveloped right-of-way, which created a courtyard-like area for the residents of Raymond Oaks. The sidewalk and fencing were not installed by or maintained by Seminole County. Therefore, if the vacate is approved, the sidewalk and fencing will remain under private ownership. The applicants have provided letters of no objection from the utility providers in the area, and Seminole County has no objection to the vacate. Seminole County has requested a drainage and utility easement be provided over the subject area, which has been provided. The request complies with requirements for vacating a right-of-way under Section 35.184 of the Land Development Code and the authority of Sections 336.09 and 336.10 of the Florida statutes. Staff has determined that vacating the right-of-way will not affect access for any persons or cause adjacent parcels to be landlocked and is in the best interest of the public. Therefore, staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners adopt the resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of an uncut right-of-way known as Raymond Avenue as requested. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Childs. Any inquiries at staff at this point? Is the applicant here and desire to make any statement to the commission? Seeing none? Oh, you are here. Okay, please. Your name and address for the record, sir?
Yes. Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. Jeff Singletary, President of Raymond Oaks Homeowners Association. That is a fantastic presentation. I had lots to say. I really don't have much to add to that. I just want to say Joy Giles and her team, Seminole County Public Works and the utilities have been phenomenal to work with. Thank you, Joy. You've been a treat to work with. It's been a process. We've been working at this for about 3 years now.
That's right.
And thank you, Board of County Commissioners, for your time and attention in this matter. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cemetery. All right, is there anyone here from the public to speak on this matter? I'm going to read into the record. There are several written comments that are in support of this. Looks like Maria Fernandez Pittman is in support. Mark Laney is in support. A Carol Marshall is in support. Ron Marshall is in support. So those are the written comments in support. If, Ms. Dominique, you would call those up who wish to speak.
Sir, would you like 3 at a time?
Yeah, let's do 3 at a time, if you would. We're going to call 3 at a time. If you'd line up in the order you're called, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Try not to reiterate what a previous speaker has said in the interest of saving time. If somebody has already said something ahead of you, please be courteous to the next speaker and try not to be redundant. If you agree or disagree, we don't tolerate any shouting out or yelling or name calling. If you would just say with your thumb up, you agree with what they're saying, or thumb down, we'll get through this much quicker in a very civilized fashion. So we sincerely appreciate it. Please call the first 3.
Don Kinting, David Larson, and Miguel Pico.
Kenton, Larson, and Pico. Name and address for the record first.
I'm Dawn Kintai, and I live at 755 Raymond Avenue. I own the only house that will be looking into this area that has already been landscaped. I bought my house in 1992 and have been working with Mr. Constantine and this board since 1997 to get this vacated. So I wanted to say thank you so much, total support to get this through, because it has been 26 years of work for our neighborhood to get this happening. And so just wanted to say how much I appreciate all the work that you've done, Joy, and the county. Thank you so much, Mr. Constantine.
Mr. Larson?
Yes, my name is David Larson. I live at 160 Raymond Oaks Court. I am one of the applicants, and I just wanted to thank Joy. It's been a long process to get here, and thank all the commissioners for considering this. I've agreed, and the Raymond Oaks Association has agreed, I'm donating the property to the association so that we can guarantee that the sidewalk will remain. We'll be able to maintain that, keep the shrubbery, keep it beautiful like it is. West Altamont Heights, Raymond Avenue, and Raymond Oaks all share that sidewalk. And by donating it to the association, this is going to ensure that that remains open for hundreds and hundreds of people, like it has for over a quarter of a century. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
Good afternoon. Miguel Pico, 205 Alpine Street. I'm pretty much right at the end of the street. And unfortunately, when I filled out the paper, I put a pose. You gotta understand English is my second language.
If you want to change that, she'll hand you the form.
So that was a joke. I made a mistake. But I do want to say that I do like to continue with that, and obviously pray for you guys. You guys are in a position of charge and leadership. I read a lot of views on internet, and you guys have done a fantastic job throughout your life. I want to say thank you for that. And I also want to see yes, let's keep it close. Let's keep that area beautiful. I got three little kids. The little one back there, you hear him going crazy. So he wants to speak. He's only 8 months. And two little girls. We love going around, go biking, walking. You know, life is hectic as it is, but I enjoy the fact that I can go through that and walk with the kids and keep it safe. And I don't want to be dramatic, but one time when we bought the house, I thought I made a big mistake. Somebody stole a car, and right at the end, what they did, and they took and running on foot and left the car right at the edge. So that was kind of traumatic, and I was like, if they were to open that, they can do anything. So safety is a big concern. So some of you are right that you have kids, so you know the feeling of a parent if something happens to your kids. So I'd like for you to keep that in mind when you're proceeding to go ahead and vote for this. And let's keep that close. Like I said, everybody here, we got great neighbors. Besides our different political point of views or faith point of view, it's a great neighborhood. I like the fact that I can step out and see people opposing what I believe, and we still say good morning, we still talk, we still hang out, and we still enjoy that. So that's it. I guess I'm here because my wife wrote my name on it. So thank you so much, and God bless you all. And thank you for the
You're a good husband and a good father. Thanks for sharing Gracie with us.
Happy life.
And for the record, that is the quietest 8-month-old I have ever seen. Clearly, my parenting skills wane compared to yours.
The next three, please.
Jose Amram, Janice Beckwith, and Marjorie Galloway.
Hello, good afternoon. Jose Amram. I really don't have anything to add other than that I support the right-of-way vacate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you today?
Great. Your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Janice Beckwith. I live at 113 East Highland Street, 2 blocks away from that. And I'm here to tell you, I voted for that development to be built. The developer that built the development put the sidewalk in for my kids to get to the bus stop. That's how the sidewalk came about. If you vote for me to develop my land, I'll do something for you. So he put the sidewalk there. I didn't get a notice of this. The only thing I got to see was this sign at the end of the road. And we already had the fight before because people wanted to open it. I'm for it if it's being vacated and kept closed. So I will be for it. I just wanted to let you know where the sidewalk came from.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Galloway, and I live at 180 East Highland Street, Altamont Springs, and I am on a corner home, so I am right on Raymond and right on Highland. I tell you, there's major traffic going through there already, and we do not need that to be open and have tons more traffic. We just can't handle the traffic that's going through barely now. Anyways, I'm for it, and I'm happy that we're going to keep it closed.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Dominique, any additional speakers?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion. We will move to board action. This is Commissioner Constantine's district. Commissioner?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and I think all of us remember the concerns that the citizens had 3 years when there was a project that was going to use this as a right-of-way getting up to their other homes that they wanted to build. The community came together, they fought it, they won, and they said, how can we resist, or how can we stop this from happening again? Both you, Mr. Chairman, and others said, we need to vacate this. They have worked diligently for 3 years to get to the point that they've also taken care of the concerns that the staff had, utilities had, everyone had. So, I just want to give them all a compliment. I have talked to many of them. Mr. Singletary, it specifically has been hardworking in trying to ensure that this thing would take place. So it is my honor to move to adopt a resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of the undeveloped right-of-way known as Raymond Avenue located in Section 11, Township 21, Range 29 of Seminole County, Florida, for the properties more particularly known as 200 Alpine Street and 160 Raymond Oaks Court, Altamont Springs.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. Thank you all very much for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for sticking with it.
You got to park.
All right, we're going to move on to the next item, which is Turkey Avenue partial right-of-way vacate. This also will be presented by Ms. Joy Giles. Ms. Giles?
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Principal Planner for the Planning and Development Division. The applicant, Mary Lourdes Diaz Deo, has petitioned Seminole County to vacate and abandon a portion of an undeveloped right-of-way known as Turkey Avenue, lying adjacent to the north perimeter of Lot 3 of the Swopes amended plat, as recorded in Plat Book 6, page 96 of the Public Records of Seminole County, Florida. The area to be vacated is approximately 652 feet in length and 30 feet in width, being approximately 19,580 square feet. The applicant owns Lot 3 as well as the properties adjacent to the north of the subject right-of-way and would like to incorporate the subject area into her property. The applicant has provided letters of no objection from the utility companies servicing the area, and Seminole County has no objection to the vacate request. This request complies with the requirements for vacating a right-of-way under Section 35.184 of the Land Development Code and the authority of Sections 336.09 and 336.10 of the Florida statutes. Staff has determined that vacating the right-of-way will not affect the access for any persons or cause adjacent parcels to be landlocked and is in the best interest of the public. Therefore, staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of undeveloped right-of-way known as Turkey Avenue as requested. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, we will go to the public. Are there any public speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Does the applicant wish to make any statement? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mary Norman. I'm requesting this. I own the lot to the to the right of the vacate and right behind it. And the main reason I want to do it is because I want my daughter to build a house on the smaller lot and have my grandchildren be living right next to me, and I don't want an issue where there would eventually be like a road going right between. So I'm actually asking to see if you guys would approve this. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you very much. No public comment items at all on this?
No, sir.
So we'll close the public input. This is my district. I will move to adopt a resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of undeveloped right-of-way known as Turkey Avenue in the Swopes amended plat of Iowa City as recorded in Plat Book 6, page 96 of the Public Records of Seminole County, Florida, located approximately 450 feet north of North County Road 426 and 210 feet east of Walsh Street, Oviedo.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Today is Our Lady of Lourdes feast day. So, yes. So congratulations. Today is your feast day, and you get a unanimous vote from the Board of County Commissioners. What could possibly be better?
Thank you. All right, next item up is item number 25, Seminole Science School Expansion Small Scale Future Land Use Map. This will be presented by Ms. Annie Silloway.
Good afternoon. Annie Silloway, Senior Planner for Development Services. This item is for the Seminole Science School expansion. The applicant is requesting a small-scale future land use map amendment from mixed-use development and low-density residential to planned development, and a rezone from A1 agriculture and C2 general commercial to PD planned development in order to develop the subject property as an expansion to the existing Seminole Science Public Charter School located on the parcel directly to the north of the subject site, lying within the jurisdiction of the City of Lake Mary. The PD proposes two-story public charter school for grades 6 through 12 with a gross floor area of 73,198 square feet and a maximum building height of 40 feet with an overall maximum floor area of 0.50. An accessory use to the school will be a recreational field that is approximately 44,500 square feet. There are approximately 0.6 acres of wetlands and 0.04 acres of floodplain on site. Redevelopment of the site will address stormwater runoff and mitigation of the wetlands. The applicant proposes to develop a portion of the wetland retention pond on the parcel directly adjacent to the east of the subject site, known as Lot 2 of the Victoria Square subdivision, located within the City of Lake Mary's jurisdiction. An interlocal agreement has been drafted between the City of Lake Mary and Seminole County that permits the review and permitting between the county and the city for Lot 2. The interlocal agreement was approved by the City of Lake Mary Commission on September 19th, 2024, and the interlocal agreement has been included for reference in the agenda package and will be heard as a separate item on the agenda this afternoon. The subject property is located in the Seminole County Utility Service area and will be required to connect to public utilities. However, Lot 2 is within the City of Lake Mary service area, and the City of Lake Mary has granted permission to Seminole County to serve this project via a letter from the City of Lake Mary, since Seminole County has connection to utilities in the immediate vicinity. The applicant provided a traffic study, and no additional turning lanes are required for the proposed development, and a cross-access easement between the subject site and the existing school site to the north will be established at the time of site plan review. Landscape buffers are proposed around the entire property boundary. The proposed project supports the objectives of the planned development PD zoning designation, and the master development plan provides permitted uses are limited to a school and related accessory uses, provides sufficient buffering to maintain compatibility between the existing development and the adjacent properties, defined hours of operation to protect the surrounding area from noise that may come from student pickup and drop-off and the operation of the recreational field, and also providing 25% open space. The applicant has provided architectural renderings to demonstrate how the building will be developed based on the renderings provided to show the design and the placement of the building of the proposed charter school site. Per the Land Development Code, Section 30.8.5.3, it states, in approving a plan development, the Board of County Commissioners shall affirm the proposed development is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Greater benefit and innovation criteria. In addition, PD zoning may be approved only when the board determines that the proposed development cannot be reasonably implemented through existing provisions of this code, and that a PD would result in greater benefits to the county than the development under conventional zoning district regulations. Such greater benefits must include two or more of the following. The first benefit is the crime prevention. The design of the proposed school building allowing pedestrian and roadway access around the entire building for parents and students to drive around the site. This would allow more eyes around the school to allow for visibility of public spaces to reduce and prevent crime. And the second benefit is neighborhood and community amenities. The applicant is providing an extension to the existing school, which provides a community amenity. The proposed project is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The purpose and intent of the Plan Development Future Land Use Designation is to enable innovative arrangements of the land development features that are not possible with the use of standard land use designations and zoning districts. And the proposed PD zoning classification is compatible with the general trend of development in the area along North Highway 1792 and Ronald Reagan Boulevard, which consists primarily of commercial uses as well as civic assembly uses such as schools, for example, the Lake Mary Bilingual Academy and churches. The master development plan demonstrates adequate buffering along the entire perimeter of the subject site and limits the hours of operation for the school. And the adjacent properties surrounding the subject property encompass a stormwater pond owned by Seminole County to the west, vacant common area owned by the Lake Mary Woods Phase 2 homeowners to the right, which will provide extra buffering between the subject property and the adjacent properties. Staff finds the proposed Plan Development Future Land Use Designation and Plan Development Zoning Classification to be consistent with a comprehensive plan, and the applicant did conduct a community meeting on October 1st, 2024. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on December 4th, 2024, and voted unanimously with a motion to add 2 conditions: no connection to Pew Street and North Road, and fencing such as a PVC fence along the north side of the existing residence. After hearing the concerns from the residents in the Lake Mary Woods neighborhood to the north during the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the applicant has proposed additional conditions. External shielding shall be required on the light poles for the recreational soccer field. No outdoor speaker system except for emergency or life safety purposes or as required by federal, state, or local laws. Access shall not only be prohibited along Pew Street but also along North Road. Outdoor lighting requirements shall conform with Part 15 of the Seminole County Land Development Code, in addition to the following: light spillage, illumination from any recreational soccer field lights onto nearby residential properties shall not exceed 0.1 foot candles. The field lighting shall not exceed 25% in height and may not tilt towards any adjacent properties. Flood lighting is prohibited, and time controls must dim all outdoor lighting by at least 50% within 1 hour of the close of business on the site. And recreational and soccer field lighting fixtures shall be shielded in such a manner that no light emitted above a horizontal plane passing through the lowest point. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the proposed small-scale future land use map amendment and concurrent rezone as per the following. Based on staff's findings and the testimony and evidence received at the hearing, the board finds the request does meet the identified portions of the Seminole County Comprehensive Plan and move to adopt the requested small-scale future land use map amendment from mixed-use development and low-density residential to planned development. And based on staff's findings and testimony and evidence received at the hearing, the board finds the request does meet the identified portions of the Seminole County Land Development Code and moves to adopt the requested rezone from A1 Agriculture and C2 General Commercial to PD Plan Development and associated development order in the Master Development Plan. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be here for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Silway. Any inquiries of staff at this point? Is the applicant here or representative of the applicant and wishes to make a statement?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Counselor. If you would give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman, fellow Commissioners. For the record, Brent Spain, Theriac in Spain, 1809 Edgewater Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32804. And I'm here this afternoon. I have the privilege of representing the Seminole Science Center Charter School. And I have our entire development team with us this afternoon. Some of them are on this first sheet of the PowerPoint. So we've got a representative from the charter school, we have our engineer from Kimley Horn, and then we have our representative from Summit Construction, who is responsible for building the school should it get approved this afternoon. And to assist you all, I've given you a hard copy of our PowerPoint presentation. I'll try to get through this as quickly as I can this afternoon. Some of it Ms. Silway has already touched upon, so those slides should go pretty quick. So first, just the location, as Ms. Silway indicated, the property is off of Highway 1792 and North Ronald Reagan Boulevard, as shown on the screen in green. The project site, which is shown in the green hash marks, consists of 3 separate parcels. So you can see those sort of called out. There's the large parent parcel on the east side, and there are 2 separate parcels on the west. The total site acreage is 7.85 acres. The property has split future land use at the moment. It's got MXD, so it's got mixed use on the eastern half, and the west half is LDR, low-density residential. And then even more interesting is the site on the east actually has split zoning on it. So you can see on the aerial it has A1 on the western 2 parcels, and then the eastern parcel is split with A1 and C2. And as Ms. Silway indicated, you've got 2 requests before you this afternoon, concurrent requests. We've got the small-scale plan amendment going from mixed use and LDR to a PD, plan development, and then we have the rezoning from A1 ag and retail commercial C2 to a PD plan development. And then the plan development is controlled by a specific master plan in accordance with your land development code. So before I jump into the master plan, I want to touch upon briefly some about the operator. So Orlando Science STEM School was founded in 2008, and it's serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. There are 5 schools serving close to 5,000 Florida students, and every school across their network achieved a A rating in 2024. The Seminole Science Charter School, which is the sister school to this proposed new school, opened its doors in 2015, has a total of 540 students, and currently serves grades K through 8. So the proposal before you today is to approve an extension to that school to add grades 9 through 12, but the new building would actually house grades 6 through 12 eventually. And Seminole Science Charter School has been an A school since 2016. On the right, you see that's the architectural rendering that Ms. Silway showed. You can see the trees that will be in the front are actually sort of ghosted out there, so you can see the building. That's attached to the proposed development order, so we would be held to that architectural standard. And again, the bullet points on this chart sort of lay out what this new school building will do is host grades 6 through 12 eventually. The first year, I believe the plan is to just bring 9th grade on board. The maximum student enrollment across grades 6 through 12, which some of those students are currently students at the charter school, it would be 970 in this component of the school facility. And again, it's got the companion facility on the adjacent lot, which would then revert to K through 5. The operational hours per the development order are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And then the recreational field is Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., currently in the development order. This is an image of the proposed development plan, and I'm going to walk through some key aspects of it this afternoon. It was in the agenda packet, so I'm sure and trust that you all have looked at it. But as you can see on here, you've got the recreational field off to the west. The building is centralized in the middle of the site. You have a on-site stormwater system off to the east, which is a wet retention system, and then you have a detailed queuing system to loop around the entire site and the building. And this would be the proposed site superimposed on an aerial. So the proposed building is 73,182 square feet. If you look on the proposed master plan, the actual floor area ratio of this project is only 0.21, although the development order provides for a maximum floor area ratio of 0.5. So just some context. The eastern majority of this property is currently MXD on the feature land use map. and the floor area ratio of MXD is 1.0. So if this site were actually developed as MXD, we would be able to do anywhere between likely 230,000 square feet just on that eastern part of the property. And if the western part became MXD as well, you'd have over 300,000 square feet under the MXD future land use, so that the proposal actually brings down the floor area ratio on the property. The project under the DO is proposed to be a maximum of 2 stories with a maximum of 40-foot building height. Again, if you look at the development table for the actual school, the building height proposed to the parapet, top of parapet is 36 feet, and to the top of roof is actually under 30 feet. And then you have the amenities, you've got the recreational field off to the west, you've got vehicular and pedestrian cross connections with the existing school facility. It's a little difficult to see, but if you look at the aerial north of that stormwater pond, you see some white going through. That's actually a sidewalk connection to the existing facility further to the east. And again, you've got the extensive vehicular queuing, and you've got the landscape and perimeter buffers and the on-site stormwater system, which again is a wet retention system. The added conditions Ms. Silloway discussed, some already. Again, at the request of the P&Z, we actually had stipulated that we would agree to a condition to prohibit any access to Pew Street, which Pew Street is actually located to the north, sort of in the middle of that aerial. We also agreed to install 6 foot of solid PVC fence along that sort of open part of the northern boundary there where the right-of-way has been cleared. That equates to about 260 feet of fencing. We've agreed to an enhanced northern buffer, which I have a separate slide to touch upon that. And then we had actually proposed enhanced lighting conditions, which Ms. Silloway went over. I've been involved in projects, the Windermere High School new football field. I represented the neighbors who had concerns about that. The new lighting facilities that are out these days have absolutely no glare and light spillage. And my clients in that case agreed to the new Windermere football stadium, high school. But to alleviate any concerns here, we're actually amenable to imposition of an additional condition today. I let Ms. Silloway know this afternoon, and the proposed condition is there on the slide. Quote, installation of lighting for the recreation field is prohibited. So to the extent anyone has concerns about lighting on the soccer field, rec field, know that we're willing to stipulate to that added condition this afternoon. That turns my presentation to traffic. As Ms. Silloway indicated, the applicant did do a full traffic north Ronald Reagan Boulevard, as well as the existing driveway connections with 1792 and Weldon Boulevard. The roadway capacity analysis revealed that the surrounding roadway network will continue to operate at the adopted level of service. There will be some timing modifications to lights, but all the surrounding roadways are operating at their adopted LOS. And again, the project has a specific traffic routing and queuing pattern for those cars entering and exiting the proposed expansion of the charter school. It has over 4,400 linear feet for on-site queuing storage of vehicles, which equates roughly to 179 vehicles queued at any given time. So on the aerial here, you can see there's the yellow dot up in the top right. That's the first access point to the site. So you can come in there and you can turn left into that new access drive that then feeds into the queuing. And then you also have the second access point, which is sort of like an orangish red circle off of Ronald Reagan. And again, the queuing on site is over 4,400 feet and allows 179 vehicles to be queued. And then you can see the parking on site, just to touch upon that, because I don't have a separate diagram on it, but it was raised in some of the emails submitted to you all. Our parking on site actually exceeds the county's land development code requirements. In fact, we're meeting the state requirements for educational facilities, which are 138 spaces, plus we have 6 ADA spaces. I believe the county's land development code would only require, I believe, 96 spaces on this property. So we're actually meeting the state requirements for a full public school. Well, on the queuing, I wanted to pull a couple things out of TPD's traffic analysis. And again, that's in your agenda packet, the full TIA. But again, this middle paragraph, it says, in terms of queuing, the proposed site plan is expected to operate well due to the significant amount of on-site queue storage provided. During the critical peak morning drop-off period, single-lane storage will be available for on-site queuing with a total distance of approximately 4,469 feet. And again, assuming an average car is 25 feet in length, you can see that the site provides for 179 regular vehicles. But your staff actually went one step further and required our traffic engineer to do a synchro analysis of that queuing to make sure that the queuing lanes would operate appropriately. And that's what's demonstrated. Again, this is an excerpt from the traffic impact analysis. And you can see that the synchro analysis confirmed that there will be no spillage out on the 1792 or Ronald Reagan Boulevard at either site access 1 or 2 during the drop-off/pickup times. So again, that was done at the specific request of county staff, and the applicant and the applicant's engineer did so, and it confirmed that there's no stacking issue. The next issue I'd like to talk about is we have committed to providing enhanced buffers, and I also want to touch upon the separation between the uses, because again, the emails you all have been receiving have been forwarded to me. I've seen them, and I was here at the P&Z hearing, so I heard some of the concerns. So you can see on this aerial to the looking west, there's actually a large stormwater pond. That's the county's stormwater pond. To the west of that provides separation to the nearest house to the west. And to the north, there's actually a 60-foot right-of-way. It's actually been cleared out. So in the aerial, it appears that that cleared area is part of the residential subdivision, but it's actually a platted right-of-way that has been cleared at some point, and then beyond that is the residential property line. And so this diagram just sort of demonstrates close up. The purple strip is that existing 60-foot right-of-way, and then you get to the residential property line. And we are proposing, it's part of the development order, an enhanced 10-foot buffer above and beyond code requirement along that area where part of the right-of-way had been cleared some years ago. So this is a little difficult to see on the screen, but on the handout in front of you, you can see, and I have this on 2 separate slides, but one, we're proposing an enhanced landscape buffer in that area that has the yellow horizontal line running east to west. That's actually 260 feet of white solid 6-foot PVC fence per the P&Z condition. And along that area, we're planting an additional 25% above the code requirement, which equates to 2 additional canopy trees, 2 additional understory trees, 4 additional evergreen trees, and 40-plus screening shrubs. And then if you look at the diagram below that, you'll see it's got the little silhouette of a person standing. How the site has been designed is the requested fence is going to be on the inside of that landscape buffer. So that enhanced landscaping will actually be planted on the outside of the fence, facing the residential community to the north. And then there's a total separation between the school building, which you can see there on the diagram, and the nearest residence of 181 feet. So this diagram sort of exemplifies that. This shows the separation to the north. So you have 181 feet from the school building itself to the residential building. to the north. And then this diagram breaks down that 181 feet. So you have 85, almost 85 and a half feet from the wall of the school to the school's property line. You have 60 feet of right-of-way, and then you have an additional almost 36 and a half feet from the next property line to the actual residential structure. So we, after the P&Z, because there was some concern or suggestion that we were too close to the surrounding residential uses from some of the folks, we went and looked at some of the schools that exist presently in Seminole County. So on the screen right now is Pinecrest Elementary School, and you can see they've got a queuing line coming in from east to west down there. Their queuing lane is anywhere between 36 feet to 70 feet to the nearest residential building. So not property line, we measured it to the actual structure itself. And again, by comparison, our queuing lane, the closest building it's to is 106 feet from the queue lane, and we're separated 181 feet building to building. Pinecrest has 92 feet of separation from the school building to the nearest residential. And this, again, this was a new school facility built after the existing homes to the south and east. So it wasn't a situation where the school came first and the houses came. It was a situation where the houses were there and the school came in. So again, Wicklow Elementary School, you can see the queuing lanes on there. You've got 46 feet queuing to the nearest residential buildings to the northeast. And again, you have a school that was built after the homes to the northeast.
Mr. Spain, any idea how much longer you're going to need?
I have 3 more slides, I believe.
Okay.
And again, it's just another school where Lake Mary Prep, you've got the rec field down there close. This is actually a lit rec field, and it's 67 feet from the nearest residential building itself. Woodlands Elementary, again, just another example of queuing and the buildings in proximity to residential homes. Again, we have significantly greater distances in queue separation and building separation. And then just lastly, again, same 2 schools, Greenwood Lakes Middle School and Highlands Elementary School. So in summary, we would respectfully ask that this board approve the small-scale plan amendment and the concurrent rezoning. We submit that the proposed expansion of the existing charter school is a perfect infill development. Again, as I touched upon, it actually brings down the floor area ratio on the property. It's a logical location for the expansion because the kids that are graduating out of that K-8 school, they now are not going to need to go find a new high school. They can just transition over into Seminole Science grades 6 through 12. And again, as Ms. Silloway testified, we submit that the proposed land use change and the proposed PD zoning are compatible with the surrounding area. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, we have our entire development team here with us.
Great, thank you, Mr. Spain. We may get to that here in just a little bit when we go up to the board. We're going to go to the public hearing portion. Ms. Dominique, how many speakers do we have approximately?
About 10.
Okay, let's call 3 at a time. If we could get the public to weigh in. Again, same rules apply, folks. If you agree with what somebody's saying, feel free to put your thumbs up. If you don't agree, put your thumbs down. We'd appreciate if you don't yell out or scream out or boo or make any overt gestures would be appreciated. So we'll get you in and out of here as quick as we can. Then we will go back to the applicant for any rebuttals afterwards, and then we'll go to board action. So let's go ahead and call Ms. Dominique the first 3.
Curtis Wilson, John McClelland, and Scott Littner.
Littner?
Yes. Leitner.
Leitner, okay.
Hey there. I'm Attorney Curtis Wilson. I'm a resident of the Lake Mary Woods Phase 2 north of the existing school. I actually, if you look at the site map, you see the forest land, the wetlands. I own about 1.5 acres of that wetlands just beyond the school that currently exists. I'm here in opposition to this plan. While it seems all well and good that they can add 900 students to a place that can hold 170 cars in a queue, and there's already 400 students at the original school, without spillover is a reach. Every morning there's spillover to the fact that it's dangerous to exit our sub off Weldon. It's gotten so bad that people are queuing all the way down to 1792 and then going up to our sub and doing turnarounds in our sub every morning to get a right turn lane into the school as it exists. And that's only 400 students at the original school. They're planning an easement to go through to the other school, which means people will be entering from Weldon in an increased amount by about double what we currently have, as well as we're talking about high schoolers who will have cars. They will have parking. There's not enough parking for all those high schoolers there, so there's going to be additional parking in the areas. And as well as the fact that with the current spillover already taking up the right lane of 1792 and cutting across 1792 every morning, leaving the school to go left down Ronald Reagan, we're almost hit every single morning, both on Weldon and on 1792 with the traffic issues. I know they're saying they have the room for that, but already with the 400 students, it's taking up the entire strip mall there, plus Weldon Road every morning, all the way up to our sub and into our sub. I don't understand unless the entrance, the orange entrance they cited that's way off Ronald Reagan is used primarily, how there's going to be enough room on those busy roads at rush hour that's already full. It's already backed up past Weldon on 792, which is cars going down 792, how we're going to fit enough people for the spillways. In addition to that, these sound issues are a major problem. They state they're not going to have any outdoor speakers. The current school this week had field day with outdoor speakers with the DJ all day, from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. My yard is, like I said, 1.5 acres of that wetlands. I'm about a quarter mile, maybe a little bit more behind that school, and it was loud enough that I have a 2,000 square foot deck I like to sit on, work from. I could not be outside the entire day. That's every day this week. It's even worse for people like my friend Mr. Leitner, whose house is the house that they're saying is 120 feet from the new school development. You can see it on the map. It's literally in the backyard. As it sits right now, they're loud and full. We're talking about tripling that group of people. It's just, it does not plan for a good use of Weldon, 792, and Ronald Reagan for any type of traffic circulage, as it's already overwhelmed in the mornings and at the afternoons for drop-off and pickup. I do not even want to think about my children. I've got a 13-year-old who's going to be driving soon, having to drive with all these high schoolers trying to pull in and out of places that they're already, the adults can't seem to manage correctly. So I'm speaking against it in just that I don't believe that even though the traffic reports say it, the current status of spillage is already overwhelming.
Thank you. Next up, please.
John McClelland.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John McClellan, 409 Lake Road, Lake Mary, 32746. I've sat through a few of these meetings in the last 10 years, so I know how they tend to go. So I just want to talk about a few concessions that I believe could be implemented in the plan. The biggest one being is I'm a sports dad. I have to find fields for our teams to practice and whatnot. And those fields become revenue generators for charter schools. And I would like there to be a concession where they cannot use the fields for anything other than school activities during school hours, as opposed to renting it out. So every Saturday or Sunday, we're sitting in our backyard hearing cowbells, whistles, cheers, and speakers. And on top of that, the traffic studies, as I've listened to quite a few of them, they always make me wonder. I think about living where I live. I want to live there for a long, long time. And I think about 2032, when I'll be so close that I can walk to work. And that might be a good thing. Because if there's all these county employees right there, and then there's this massive Reagan Center right there, you're going to get stopped at every light from Lake Mary down to Ronald Reagan, as the backup at 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock will be insane. So I'm definitely in opposition to this, and hopefully it does not go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Scott Leitner.
If you get the next three after that, please.
Sean Lurkin,
Lurkin,
Sebastian is the last name,
Sebastian,
and then Beck Lester Beam.
Beam. Did you say Beam?
Beam, B-E-A-M.
EAM. If y'all could line up over here, be greatly appreciated. Yes, sir, please proceed.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for having us and listening to our concerns. I believe you received an email yesterday of our neighborhood petition that we put together, and we've had well over 50-plus homeowners sign that. I don't know if you need a hard copy or not.
Did all the commissioners receive that yesterday? I did.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So it just goes to show, not everyone's able to attend this meeting, obviously, during the workday, but there is concern by the majority of the 90-plus homes in our neighborhood about this project. Personally, I think I have the most skin in the game here. I am the house that is directly at the end of Pew Street, literally 60 feet buffer between me and the school property. So I have the existing school directly behind me. As Mr. Wilson stated, it is loud. I can't work out on the back porch during school hours. It's between the recess, morning announcements. Field day this week was crazy. Luckily with double pane windows and doors, it buffers some of the sound, but you can't have anything open during school hours. Having a school that's now going to be 4 times closer than that school is obviously a concern with the noise. Our other concern, we're happy that they're not going to allow cut-throughs, but I know how high school kids are. I know how I was going to high school. You're running late. You don't have time to deal with the traffic getting into the school, or obviously there's insufficient parking. You're going to have 300-plus high school driving age kids now going to the school with 138 parking spots. No one addressed where are these high school kids parking, where is staff parking. It's just the size and scope of this project's just entirely too large for the 7.9 acres of land. So we'd ask that some concessions be made. Obviously, I think they've addressed some of the noise concerns. Privacy-wise, a 6-foot vinyl fence I think is a little underwhelming. We'd ask that something more permanent, a block brick wall in conjunction with what we already have be built, something more permanent, a little higher, 8 to 10 feet. I think that will prevent anything for any kids from hopping over, cutting in and out, parking in our neighborhood, rushing to get to school, parents dropping off kids on Pew Street and having them cut through to get in. So we definitely need something more substantial there. Again, the parking spots insufficient for that size. I'd also like to see if we can move the site of the building. You have a 35-foot setback off Ronald Reagan, but only a 25-foot setback off of the north boundary. I feel like the school building should be closer to the road, further from the neighborhood, even potentially flip-flop with the soccer field. Why not put the soccer field closer to our neighborhood, put the school a little further to the west? So I feel like there's some different things that the charter school could do in order to accommodate, a residential neighborhood that some of us have lived in for, at least in my case, 19 years. So thank you for listening to our concerns, and I hope that you'll consider some of the concessions that we've requested. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could try to be respectful of the clock and what has already been said, we'd appreciate it. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. I do not have a prepared speech, so I promise you I won't take up the entire 3 minutes. I was one of those who walked in and I was given a yellow form. Would you like to speak? I said absolutely yes. But I have nothing prepared. I just want to share my story with Seminole Science Chartered School.
Mr. Chairman, can we just have the name and address?
Name and address,
yes, please. My name is Ansu Sebastian, 428 Still Forest Terrace, Stanford, Florida, 32771. So I have 2 teenage girls, and a lot of my friends tell, oh, I'm so sorry that you're living with 2 teenage girls. And I tell them, don't be sorry. I have 2 amazing girls whom I'm very, very proud of. And no credit to me, it all goes to Seminole Science Chartered School. They have some amazing teacher who not only are focused on their education, of course they are focused on education, but also on character building and behavior. My girls are well behaved. They are good citizens of this community. They volunteer at church, volunteer at school. They are part of National Junior Honor Society. They do amazing work because of the teachers at Seminole Science. So I work as an associate dean at a university with 2,500 college students. And when I read some of their emails, I can proudly say my girls would have done a better job. And that all credit goes to the school, so I am here to support the school, and please beg and plead that this project moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Hi, Beck Lester Beam, 1806 Magnolia Avenue, Sanford, Florida. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of this. I know it can be a little daunting. It is for us as well. Earlier they were talking about that we opened Orlando Science in 2008 in Orange County. I was there as a parent. I got this little brochure in the mail, and my son was like this number at this huge high school, and I'm like, my child's not a number. So I went, I got him in. There was a trailer in the back of it. They weren't even opened yet. About 6 months later, I was offered a job that I wasn't even looking for. I'm like, I'm going to get to spend time with my son and work at something that could be really great for the education and students of Florida. 17 years later, here I am. I'm still working with Orlando and Seminole Science. I'm the admissions director now and community outreach for the Seminole Science School. And I go into work every single day and I go, I love my job. I love my families. I love my staff. I love my students. And I have watched children just like my own go from not really a great student because he was so just one of the masses. And I watched him end up graduating with honors from high school, going on to college and doing great things. And I owe that to the science school. And for me, not only as somebody who works there and gets to see all these children grow and gain knowledge, but as a parent who saw my child go from head in the sand to head held proud. This is what Seminole Science does. And we want our neighbors to be happy. We want you guys to be happy. We really, really do. I promise you that. We want everybody to be happy here. And I know we're willing to make concessions to make this happen. But Seminole Science needs to be able to educate Seminole County residents. We are an A school. We're accredited. We even have a national character education because that's so important above and beyond just what they do in the classroom with their grades. We have to be there for these families of Seminole County, and I appreciate you guys so very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Okay. Well, congratulations for your children. The
name and address for the record, please.
Sean Larkin, 304 Sprucewood Road, Lake Mary Woods. Is there any way we could bring back any of those pictures back up?
Sure.
All right.
Ms. Silloway? Which one are you looking for?
Let's go to the back of the school. I would say even where 1792 goes in. Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop.
There's no more pictures.
Okay, well, let's go back to the picture that you had before.
Do you have that one? That's the aerial. That's Ronald Reagan in 1792.
Okay, I'd like to see it with the
colors?
Just keep going. Okay, the question I have, and I don't know if we're able to see it with the pictures that we have, maybe if we could, where they have the overflow, for the water, the retention pond that's on the right-hand side, and how we have 1792 coming down this way, we have 427 coming across this way. And do we have a turning lane that's going into that area? And is there any type of buffers that we have that is going to buff that basically pond that's out there to where no vehicle trying to catch a light or anything like that could possibly hit it, smash, go into the water? That was one of the questions I had. The second one is I was the one that went to Bishop Moore High School, and I was the one that went through the golf course, and I believe Andrea, you're the one that actually brought up the 6-foot fence, and thank you so much for doing that. But we really need a wall. We need a wall, and developers, I'm in developing also. working on a job off of John Young Parkway. It's a $168 million job. It's not a big deal for you guys to put a block wall with brick veneer that wraps around just like when you go into Lake Mary Woods and goes around. And actually behind where the other school is that everybody's praising that their school has gotten. So please, if we could get that block wall, that would be great, in front of the Pew Road that supposedly nobody's gonna get through. All right, thank you.
Ms. Dominic, next ones?
Michelle Jump, Alan Ambler, and Jayaram Brindala.
Welcome. Please give your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Michelle Jump. I live at 73 Griggs Avenue in Castleberry, 32708. I do have a speech because I'm nervous. So I am here today not only as a teacher at Seminole Science, I've been there since the second year they've been open, but also as a parent. My son's over there. I grew up in Seminole County. I have attended Castleberry Elementary, South Seminole Middle School, graduated from Lake Howell High School. I have raised 3 children in Seminole County. My daughter and son both graduated from Winter Springs. My daughter has now graduated from UCF, and my son is playing baseball for Brighton and Stratton College in Virginia. I say all this to say that Seminole County is one of the best school systems, if not the best. With that being said, my youngest has attended Seminole Science since kindergarten. He did struggle a lot with his academics and was not as athletic as my other children. At Seminole Science, he was identified early as a struggling reader and had daily support since our school was smaller than a public school. Fast forward to 6th grade. I wanted my son to experience school without his mom there, so we enrolled him into our local middle school. We joined the PTA, he joined the cross-country team, tried to be that involved parent as well as at my school. However, he did not have the same experience as his brothers and sisters. Within the first month, he was thrown out of his bus seat twice by some bigger kids. So I decided we'll drop him off. We won't have to worry about the bus. That worked for a little bit, but during cross-country, he was bullied as well about his shoes not being as expensive as others, and at our school, we don't have that issue because there's dress code. But again, we just let kids be kids. But the final straw was when he was trying to leave a classroom because they're overcrowded, and there's kids coming in, kids going out, and a kid got mad at him, turned around, punched him in the face.
Ms. Jump, if we could try to keep it on the specifics of this project.
Okay.
We adore the things with your children and the schooling, and there's no doubt that they do good work. This needs to be about this hearing and the specifics of this complex being considered on this property.
Okay, so my last paragraph. Our students are not like most students. They need, we have students from IEPs to gifted. We need students that are able, the students need to be able to learn at their levels and what they need, and that's something we offer at our school that other schools aren't able to do with the curriculum and their stuff about the stuff that the state puts on them. So anyways, so I'm basically saying we need the school because we need kids to be able to go to a high school that fits their needs, that aren't all like the typical student.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Just a reminder, we really do love all of our children, and we love the schools in our community, and I know that there's a lot of passion involved, a lot of stories to be told, but this is really about the use of this property and the placement and request of this application on this property. So if we could try to keep it in those realms, it'd be very much appreciated.
Mr. Chairman, what you're basically saying, we can see that it's a good school.
Of course.
Now let's worry about, the site plan.
Correct.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Alan Ambler, 211 South Crystal Drive. Some of you may know me from my time managing the utility of the city of Castleberry. I am a 25-year civil and environmental engineer, but I'm here on behalf of Gabriel, Aiden Ambler, Pablo, Ambler and Noah Ambler, and actually Miss Jump is Noah's teacher that way. We were the first class for Seminole Science Charter School with Gabriel. Now he is in freshman at Lake Mary Prep, and I'll tell you, you guys obviously love your kids. That's one of the biggest decisions that you have to make, is to where are they going to go to school? What are their options going to be? We want more options and not less. I'll be brief. Spending 10 years in government, sometimes this is a challenge just to get through the process, but I'll be honest, from what I've seen, the process is working. You're hearing from opposition. You're hearing from people in support of exactly what this is. I've also worked very much closely with Principal Aksu, who's trying to push this forward through that process, and they've made a lot of concessions. They've changed a lot of things in order to be able to try to advance this development. I've heard from some of you that this is an acceptable use of this property. I think so. It would be giving us great options to be able to now have more for our children and our children's children to be able to go to school in that manner. So let's do that to the best of our ability, with being able to try to satiate the neighbors' requests as well through that process. So it's working. This is government. This is government as it's supposed to be, where we're hearing people in opposition. We're trying to modify those things that are necessary to be able to make everybody as happy as we possibly can and try to put our best foot forward. For me, I want more options. I want to be able to make sure that my kids go to a place that are safe, as you'd heard from Ms. Jump. She relies on that too. She really wants that to be the case, and there's a lot of other parents that appreciate this as well. Charter schools, the pickup, drop off. I'm actually late right now to go to pick up my kids. That's just part of what those things are without bus patterns, is the pickup and drop off are often hectic in that manner. But it is one of those things that once we get used to what is supposed to be in pickup and drop off, we start to recognize where we can do that better. So in talking to Principal Aksu for probably 45 minutes, Jeanette and I did, when we were talking about pickup and drop off, this is the best possible option on their site with 180 cars queued. So please, thank you so very much for all of your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ambler.
That's
We're
it.
out of time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, Jairam Brindala, 2351 Aliqua Drive. To the commissioners, I just want to thank you for your leadership and the time and efforts you've spent throughout your lives serving the public. I really do appreciate that. I am Dr. Brindala. I'm a physician residing in Seminole County. I am also, for full transparency, a member of the Board of Discovery Education Services, which oversees the Orlando Science School System, including Seminole Science Charter School. I'm a parent of a 9-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl who have been with the school for now in the 4th year. And I just want to underscore a few items. And this school is a public school. It is really serving the community, serving everybody, irrespective of income, of the parents, irrespective of parental education. It's really open to all children of the community. It's serving our community as a public school. And I just want to underscore that for the group. And it's a school that focuses on science, technology, education, engineering, and math like no other, in terms of preparing our children for college, for the workforce, for the military, for their future. I think it's really important to have this opportunity.
I hate to interrupt you. Let's try to keep it on this school, this property. We understand what the school does. I think we all understand that and are great with that. You're either for or against, and tell us why or what your concerns are.
Yeah, so
for
I'm
this
just-
specific school site, for this project.
Sure, I'd be glad to do that. So I'm specifically for the project. I think the expansion is important and necessary for us to have this 9th through 12th grade campus available to my children, the other students, and the children of our community. It's not enough to go through 8th grade and have these opportunities. We need to go to 12th grade. And I think that we can certainly accommodate neighbors' concerns, and we've already begun to do that, and we'll continue to do that. And I commit to you, as a board member overseeing the school system, that we will work in concert with the neighbors in the community to make this a place that is special and valuable for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dominique, who are the next speakers, please?
One more speaker, Mohammed Salehi.
Mohammed Saladi? Saladi?
Salehi.
Saladi? Mr. Saladi. Anyone else here from the public desires to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we will go back to the applicant for any rebuttal. Mr. Spain?
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I'll try to keep it brief. I think I can address some of the big concerns that came out. But Mr. Wilson, he talked about, hey, there's already this many students and there's a traffic issue. Well, by expanding the school and having 9 through 12, again, the school age groups, much like any other public school, have staggered hours. So it's not like suddenly you're inundating the area with the full school population. There was an issue about noise. We've already talked about that we have an express condition in the DO of no outdoor speaker systems will be permitted. The only exception is for life safety or if it's mandated by law, because we have to have it. Mr. McQuillan, I believe, asked about the fields, if there could be a stipulation that the recreation field would only be for school use. We're completely fine with that. We will agree to a condition that the recreational field is to only be used by the Seminole Science Charter School, not third parties. So I believe that issue has been resolved. There was an issue from Mr., I think, Lakin or Larkin about the drop-offs and the like. It was touched upon at P&Z. The school has an express adopted policy of pickup and drop-off. You can't just drop your kid off at a side street because you're in a hurry and have them enter the school. They won't be allowed to enter because they're either a rider or a walker. So that's addressed. The parking, again, I'd already touched upon it. We're actually exceeding your parking requirements for a school facility. We're meeting, again, the SREF standards for the state requirements for an educational facility. So again, if we were a public high school being built, we're meeting the parking requirements.
I'm sorry, but I just need to clarify that. Public high school has a bus system. Are you saying that you're meeting, I mean, they're two entirely different things.
Yeah, I understand. We don't have a busing system, but again, from a parking requirement, I think that's why we didn't stop at 96 parking spaces, which would be the county requirement. We went to 138 plus the ADA spots. There was a question asked about why don't you flip the whole site? And there's a number of reasons. One, the stormwater pond has to be on the east side to operate appropriately and in compliance with St. John's requirements. Secondly, the recreational field can't fit because the area where the recreational field is located is the largest part of the property from a north-south length. So that's where the recreational field needs to go. And frankly, from a compatibility standpoint, one would think you'd rather have the buildings centralized and the recreational field located further from any surrounding neighborhood rather than bringing it closer. The site's also been fully engineered. And again, the stormwater system's been reviewed by St. John's. But Mr. Larkin, I believe, asked the question about will the applicant change the 6-foot PVC fence, the 260-foot long fence, to a masonry wall? We're willing to stipulate to that. To change that fence that the P&Z asked for on the northern boundary, on that open area, we will commit to changing that from a 6-foot solid PVC fence to a 6-foot masonry wall. I think with that said, I've addressed the issues, and just from a locational standpoint, you know, even the county's siting requirements for public schools encourage that they be as close to residential developments as possible to encourage it being a community asset. So again, we've been very receptive to the community's concerns. We addressed them at P&Z. I'm here this afternoon stipulating to additional conditions. We stipulate to no lights without anybody even asking for that this afternoon. And we come to you with a unanimous P&Z recommendation, staff recommendation, and you didn't hear a single individual today actually mention to you that we don't comply with a policy or goal of your comp plan, and you didn't hear an individual this afternoon cite a land development code provision that we don't comply with. And the county attorney started this afternoon off very early on about what is the standard, and that really is the standard for you all, is that you apply your adopted criteria in the comp plan and the land development code. It's not a popularity poll. It's not, hey, this might be bad. We've evaluated the traffic. Your engineers at the county have reviewed that, have signed off on it. FDOT has looked at that. St. John's has looked at the stormwater. So again, we ask for your support so this needed community asset can come on board in the next year or two. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Spain. Any questions for the applicant at this point?
Not questions.
Commissioner Herr?
Go ahead, Nisa.
I was only going to ask if I could ask a question, but I was going to let you guys go first. I didn't hear anybody.
We certainly want your questions on the table.
Yeah, sorry.
Absolutely. I just can't fathom how the traffic, there's no issues with traffic. This is in my traffic pattern. I don't understand how we can possibly queue up 970 vehicles, and I realize some kids carpool, but most don't these days, including high school students and potential cars, on that road system in that queue all at once. And so there's no mention of staggered starts in the PD. There's none of that. You just do it out of your normal process. But that, I just can't fathom that it met traffic standards. And what I don't want to have happen, so for whatever engineers on our team that said, yay, let's go with this, I do not want this to become a county problem with we have to expand the damn lanes on that road to pay for this. I'm just going to say that out loud, because that's where I think this is headed. There is already, as the neighbor said, backups because of the current school on that property. And so I just don't understand the traffic component of this. And so, I'm not necessarily asking you a question for the applicant. You can come back. You're going to come back anyway. And for the record, I do definitely understand the charge that the attorneys gave us. It's not a popularity contest. But the rest of the community has to be accommodated as well.
Understood. And if I could, Chairman, just to Commissioner.
Let me take a minute and close the public portion of the hearing. We're now into questions from the board, so go ahead.
Oh,
Floor is
okay.
yours.
On the traffic issue, I think it actually had come up at P&Z and we had responded. We would be open to a condition, and I've had developer clients do it, where there's a continued monitoring, because again, the school, even when it's built, the first grade to come online would be 9th grade. It's not suddenly going 9 through 12 the first year. So we would be open to a condition that requires the continued monitoring of the traffic patterns for those first few years of operation to see if, in fact, if there's an issue arising, then perhaps we are required to add a turn lane or a decel lane. So that did come up at P&Z. They didn't impose it as an express condition, but it is something we mentioned, the willingness to do that ongoing traffic modeling.
Commissioner Lockhart.
No. So questions first. How many faculty and staff do you anticipate working out of this building?
That would be above my pay grade, Commissioner, so I'm going to see if somebody from the school.
Somebody is standing up for you. Help is on the way.
We've talked about students. I understand 970. How many faculty and staff?
Good afternoon, Chris Klotz, 421 South Summerlin Avenue, Orlando, Florida. There was approximately 60 staff members planned for this new campus.
Okay. So, okay, thank you. I'll add that to another question that I have. I'm going to back up if I can as the district commissioner on this and just kind of share my participation in the discussions the last few days, because they've only started the last few days. The first opportunity that anyone from the developers team reached out to talk to me, we had a scheduled meeting Thursday afternoon where I specifically said that I thought that a school was a very appropriate use for this site, but that I felt that the most intense negative impacts on the community had been placed closest to the community, and gave you the charge. I actually called it homework and said, I know it's a short amount of time to come back, but I'm giving you some homework. Could you please come back with the things that you would propose to do to mitigate some of those negative impacts? And one of the things that I was very clear with you about on Thursday was that I would not support any development order where that field was lighted. So Mr. Spain may have missed that, but that was something that I requested and actually said I would not vote to do. So you all may not have communicated that. There were 3 very specific things that I mentioned to you that were my concerns. With the parking, as you have it laid out, and I know you keep saying there's 130 some odd spots. I can't read the tiny numbers. I count 108, but again, I can't see the number on the site plan that's in front of me. So you're accommodating for the large amount of stacking because you're going to have a lot of cars going through. 179 vehicles queued was what you said. So one of my concerns in all of this stacking was that there would be cars sitting there idling for a period of time and there was exhaust. A fence doesn't deal with exhaust. So I asked you to come back with something to mitigate that. I talked about the lighting from the field, asked you for that mitigation, and I guess that's been addressed, so I appreciate that. The sound was my third biggest issue, and I felt the lighting being eliminated from the field would at least keep there being activity in the evenings from that. I think education of kids is fantastic. I think that we have a lot of community members who really, really appreciate this school. That is a very separate and different topic from the site plan that's been presented to us today. Love, love, love that people love this school. But that's not what we're here to decide today, is whether it's a good school or not. So looking at 970 students, grades 6 through 12, I did some quick math, maybe 140 students per grade. Juniors and seniors, combine those, you'd have 270 some juniors and seniors that would be age 16 and over. If half of those students drive, that's 140 students-ish. You got 60 staff, you got 140 kids that are eligible to drive. We'll go with your number of 130 parking spaces. Again, I only count 108. It can't be both. And I will tell you from my experience as a school board member and a parent of high school students, not having adequate parking for your high schoolers, and frankly, I don't care about SREF. I've lived under SREF. There are a couple of employees here at the county who are with me at the school board. We talk about that all the time. That just isn't the way families operate today in terms of parking and getting students to school, especially if you don't have a busing system. Commissioner Delary and I worked diligently to try to help Haggerty High School with some parking situations because they didn't have enough parking. They followed SREF. So I'm disappointed because I feel like, and you and I spoke again yesterday around noon, and you told me that there were no other accommodations that you were going to be able to make, except for some additional vegetative buffering. And now today, and I asked this morning, were there going to be any additional, has staff heard from anyone from this team, are there any changes that are going to be proposed? And the answer I heard was, no, Commissioner, our staff has not heard from anyone yet. So here we are at the meeting, and all of a sudden we have these concessions. I don't have them in writing. They're not in the DO. I have been I've been very gracious working with you all to try to come up with some accommodations, and this isn't it. So I have my own list of things that I think would be appropriate, and I'm happy to share them with you, but first I'm just going to tell you I'm annoyed.
Thank you. recognizing what you said, that there was a short window to turn that feedback around to action, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't lost on the commission that we did attempt to address your 3 items, the first being the light. And we came out almost immediately. I don't know when that made it through staff, but our team worked very quickly to come to the conclusion that if the lighting was a big issue with the commission, that we wanted to eliminate that field lighting. So again, I don't know when that came through, but that's our intent, and that's our wish today is to eliminate that option of field lighting to comply with your comments, Commissioner. You talked about the sound, so there's been a lot of discussion with our team, and Brent mentioned it today, and this has been something, again, that we've been diligently working on as a team, that we do want to be responsive to your comments and the neighbors' comments about sound. We are prepared to put that in writing as a condition that fence be changed to a wall to increase the sound buffering and also the privacy and the limit the ability for anybody to move through that area. So that's, we also would like to propose a fence along the west side, as you had mentioned, that you also concerned about noise.
The pond. No, a fence
coming
does
across
not
the
address
pond.
noise. And I said that to you. So could I make a suggestion at this point? There's so much to be done. I'd like to continue this item.
I was going to ask Mr. Spain if he might want to consider a continuance, but go ahead, Commissioner.
Well,
Before you ask for continuance, can I just ask one question?
absolutely.
When it's my turn.
Well, sure. It'll be your turn. You have to ask the chairman.
Well, wait a minute.
Keep it-
The
keep
district
it
commissioner has the floor, so continue. Unless you're giving up the floor for a moment.
No, I think, and one more note, Pinecrest Elementary was built in 1955, and the architect was Edward Moten. So I just want to get that on the record as well.
I do have a question.
Wait.
Commissioner Delory has a question, then Commissioner Herr will run the meeting, and then tell me when I can speak, so go ahead. Commissioner Delory.
Mr. Chairman, you definitely asked your question. I have no problem waiting, please.
No, go ahead, please.
So the question I have is for staff, and I know when we talked about Trinity Prep, they wanted to limit the number of students. It was, I think it was 45-plus acres, and they wanted to limit it to 900 students. And that's basically 19.6 kids per acre. This is 7.85 acres. And they want to do 12.6 students per acre. I know this is a PD. It may think that there's too many kids going to this piece of property. Has anyone looked at that? I'm asking staff the question.
I'll defer to Mr. Gomez.
I'm just going by what the past. And this was your not my presentation. This was staff's presentation about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Good afternoon,
Remember that,
Commissioners. Yeah. Jose Gomez, Development Services Director. Yes, the Trinity Prep is in an A1 zoning district with a special exception. This is in
I
a
understand
corridor
that,
that's
but I'm
mixed.
just going by
Yeah.
students going
Yeah.
to a piece of property.
Sure.
This is a PD, and I know we're just looking at that.
Yeah, and it's a mixed-use, future land use with a PD zoning. It's in a more urban area. Really, the number of students is based on the size of the school in terms of the square footage of the campus, not necessarily the acreage.
Okay.
So that's where that limitation is coming from.
Thank you.
Mr. Herr?
It's my turn.
I don't have anything else. If I'm running the meeting,
Go
it'll
ahead,
be
I'll
your
come.
turn.
Commissioner Constantine.
Do me later, do me after you.
No, go ahead.
You already said you had questions, go ahead. And then I'll do something.
Do me now, do me later.
Is the applicant willing to go to an 8-foot masonry wall instead of a 6-foot?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, it's the only question I had, thank you. Commissioner Constantine, then Commissioner Lockhart.
Thank you. Well, I think there's a lot of differences here that that all of us that have been involved in the schools, seem to have. First of all, when the school board buys land, it's usually in the community that's going to have the students that are going to go to that school. We all know, any study will tell you that the smaller the school, the better the school, the neighborhood schools. So, comparing this to those other schools that were in the neighborhoods, to me, I think that's not compatible. It's not, it's not oranges to oranges, let's say. This is a charter school. Yes, by definition, it is a public school. It is a charter school that is on a major highway. And the people that live there they were there. And I think that their consideration needs to be made. So I am very happy to hear what the district commissioner is saying, and I just want to back up some of her concerns and others that have mentioned, the other commissioners. I appreciate that the chairman mentioned 8 feet. I think it should be 10 feet, for gosh sakes. I think it should be the higher the better, the less noise, for the community. But also, if we're going to if we're going to postpone this, which I hope we do, I think that we should look at, I think that, because this is a PD, this is not street zoning, this is a PD, here's my wish list, if you will. The brick wall, really more accommodation to parking. I don't think that you've addressed the concern. I'm concerned about setbacks. I think the setbacks are not, deep enough, if you will. And, I'm willing to look at other things. Those are just my 3 biggest concerns that I had when I looked at that, and that's all I need to say.
Commissioner Lockhart, are you ready for a motion?
I have 2 more questions. I just want to, on something that was mentioned. Somebody mentioned that the site was already fully engineered.
Correct.
So you fully engineered the site before getting the approval from the board that would include the site plan?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay.
Our goal was to...
That's on y'all. That's not on us.
Understood.
For the record. The staggered hours, if I have a 5th grader and a 9th grader, I'm going to have to drop my kids off at 2 different times and pick them up at 2 different times, even though I'm benefiting from them being at the same school?
No, there's accommodation for that within the school. So they have some before school and after school options to accommodate those carpool riders and siblings.
Okay. The time to talk about these accommodations and amendments to the DO and this negotiating is not on the dais. It's just not. I don't think it benefits the applicant. I don't think it benefits the community. It doesn't benefit this board. I've made some notes in the DO of things that I believe need to be modified, including setbacks, the masonry wall, the opacity. 0.95 plants per 100 linear feet does not a buffer make. 1 plant, less than 1 plant per 100 feet. And this is our staff's DO.
0.005 opacity, right?
0.1 opacity rating.
Right.
0.95 plants per 100 linear feet. I'm reading it right from the DO.
I didn't read it that way.
Well,
I
that's what
went
it
the
says.
opacity.
Maybe staff can educate me on what that actually means. If it doesn't mean 0.9 plants per 100 linear feet. Again, I was increasing buffers, adding masonry walls, prohibiting the lights. And for the record, if you all could find a way to move that field, I wouldn't mind there being lights on it because the building would potentially block the light. But that's a conversation for another day. So I would like to make a motion to continue this item to the 2nd meeting in March. Is that, I'll leave staff to kind of give us the idea of what would be an appropriate amount of time.
So date certain of?
Our 2nd meeting in March.
meeting in
Is that
March.
acceptable?
Yes, which is the 25th of March. We can-
Okay.
25th?
Yep.
Second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign? Seeing none, it's continued to the 25th.
And then, Mr. Chairman, that item number
Item
7,
seven,
that
yes.
was on the consent, if we could we'll just move that item with, along with the postponement on the March 25th as well.
And, Mr. Chairman, just as a suggestion, I think that some of the folks that have sent us letters, some of them said that they couldn't make the first meeting, would like to meet with them again, et cetera, et cetera. I would really ask that they try to make accommodations with the neighbors and try to work with them again.
I don't disagree, and I would urge Mr. Spain, if you could make sure from your first community meeting, and the county will have records of who is here today, before you come back in March, if you could find within your ability to meet with those folks to let them know what you'll be bringing forward, because we're going to go through this process all over again. And I'd sure hate for us to go through this whole process all over again and find out that we haven't made any headway in getting the public informed of what is really happening, since District Commissioner wasn't fully informed of the latest changes. So if you could do that, I think we'd all be appreciative. Commissioner Herr.
Do you have a comment?
No, I was just saying, when it's continued to the date certain, we don't have to go through the whole presentation. Again, you will have to open it up for public comment.
Correct.
But we can cut to the chase.
Of course.
When it comes back.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to get on the record that somebody's got to alleviate my concerns about traffic. That didn't come up in your dissertation, but turn lanes, the time to put them in is not when we're in crisis, after you do an analysis and watch traffic back up on 1792.
Commissioner, I did bring it up, but I'm just saying I concur with you.
I'm sure our staff will have a complete list of things to help the applicant amend their proposal.
Yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, I wanted to clarify for you, Commissioner Lockhart, the landscape buffers, you were talking about 0.9 opacity. That's not one tree. The applicant has the option to choose from different types of trees. So it's like one canopy tree per 100 linear feet.
So it is one plant?
Well, it can be, it's based on a calculation. So it's not like 0.95 plant. It's not 0.95 plant.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I just wanted to clarify that for you.
I was rounding to one, assuming that we wouldn't be chopping off limbs. But so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So it is a designation of a number of plants per linear feet.
Yes, it's part of a calculation that we have.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay.
For
All right.
opacity.
You're welcome. Excuse me?
For opacity.
For opacity, yes, sir. Mhm. Do you guys have
Thank
any
you.
other questions?
Not now.
Okay.
I don't.
Did we call the
Alrighty,
question?
thank you.
Or did.
Can we take a recess?
Let's take let's be back here no later than 10 after, if that's enough time. We're going to take a short recess till 10 after the hour. we're going to go back in session. It is now approximately 4:15. We'll come back into order. We just finished up number 25, and for clarification, make sure the record remains clean. I'm going to go to the county manager on item 7, so we preserve the record.
Yeah, so Chairman and Commissioners, I'm going to pull item 7, and as you know, when this comes back, I'll be bringing this back. But for the record, I'm just pulling it from the consent agenda item. Consent agenda. Thank you.
Fair enough. All right, next item up is item 26. This will be put on by Ms. Tamika Morton. It's adopt ordinance to create the Bear Gully Lake Management MSBU. Ms. Morton, you're up.
Good afternoon. Tamika Morton, MSBU Program Manager. The MSBU program brings this item to the board for consideration to adopt an ordinance creating a municipal service benefit unit assessment district to provide funding for lake management services on behalf of Bear Gully Lake, which is located in Commission District 1. This hearing was publicly advertised in the Orlando Sentinel on January 5th, 2025, in accordance with Florida statute. The request for establishing this MSBU was initiated by community application in May of 2024. The standard petitioning process coordinated by the MSBU program demonstrated a 68.3% response in favor of the BCC creating this requested MSBU, therefore exceeding the required 65% threshold. The assessment boundary of the proposed MSBU consists of 101 waterfront properties, with each being assigned one benefit unit. The MSBU will consist only of Phase 2 services, which are known as variable rate or ongoing. We just like to give the honorable mention that we do have 2 phases typically. We have fixed rate and variable. Fixed is when we have capital. This one will not have a capital. There's no need for a restoration. The residents have done a very good job of keeping their water body in very good condition. So we'll only be going forward with Phase 2, the variable rate. They only need maintenance at this time. As mentioned, Phase 2 is a variable rate. The estimated annual assessment, it's based on a 5-year cost projection for contracted services. And what we estimated, it would be about $335.63 per parcel annually. Of course, this is subject to change. It's based on, whatever lake management program deems necessary. So if there is anything like hydrilla or, water quality goes down, it potentially could go up. There's also times where it goes down, like some of our lakes last year. The estimated assessment will include our annual admin fee of 7%. This is levied on the tax bill. Following public input, the MSBU program requests that the board approve and authorize the chairman to execute the ordinance creating the Bear Gully Lake Management MSBU. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morton. Any questions or inquiries of staff at this point? Seeing none, Ms. Dominique, is there anyone here on the public to speak on this matter?
There's one speaker, Harvey Barnett.
Mr. Barnett, please come forward, give us your full name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Dr. Harvey Barnett. I reside at 4107 Gabriella Lane. I'm at the far west end of Gabriella, and if you go back to that picture, you can't even see my house. It's nothing but woods. I moved onto that property in 2000, and along with a neighbor that's since passed away, we were the first volunteers for the Operation Water Watch that was out of Gainesville, Florida. I participated with Dr. Summers on that, and we collected a lot of the data that we sent off to Gainesville and so forth. And watching those reports come back, I was concerned about the degradation of the lake as more and more properties were being developed more and more in that area, and we've had housing developments come in. I'd also like to, at this time, thank Mr. Calhoun, the senior environmental scientist with Seminole County. The guy's a genius, and he helped provide an extremely significant source of information for me to continue my study and research on this lake. I've read the analysis and all the reports that are currently involved with MSBU's Lake Burkett, East Crystal, Chin, and Amory for 2023. Now, I'm a psychologist, and in my area of psychology, we talk about controlling behavior. And I got a sign in my office that says, controlling human behavior with your mouth is like trying to drive the car with a horn. There is no enforcement. Is that coming up on?
True.
Can we put that above the sign here?
The context of this is, I am for anything that will protect the lake. That's my passion, and thank you for this opportunity to speak about this thing that's very near and dear to my heart. But in all of these things, I see nothing where there's an enforcement element. We analyze things, we take data on them, but we don't set it up. And we've got to have the same precision in our ideologies and in our ideas about collecting the data and then analyzing the data. But if somebody isn't doing their part around keeping this lake clean as a property owner, they need to be more than just reprimanded. They need more than verbal aspects. So I'm for this thing as long as it has some teeth of enforcement in it. You don't want to put that in, I'm still going to vote no. But the opportunity that you've got here to set a precedence to put some teeth into these kinds of things is going to be vital as we move forward. It will do us a little good to know about how it's degrading when we can't tell these people, stop fertilizing your lawn. You got this nice green lawn, but you're killing my lake. I haven't mowed my lawn in 25 years. I don't have a lawn. If a tree falls, it's going to rot right there. It's part of the natural process. Even though the water coming down Bear Gully Lane, or Gabriella Lane, ends up down in the lake, that's one of the reasons I don't have any kind of spray, any kind of nothing. Just leave it alone. So if you're gonna propose this thing and let it go through, put some teeth to it so that we can enforce the problem as it exists. We're good at finding the symptoms. Now let's go for some causes.
Thank you, Doctor, very much.
Thank you.
And I would ask staff if you would get with the good doctor here and just help give some background on the penalties financially and legal from DEP, FWC, and those other bodies, as well as our own ordinance, fertilizer ordinance, and so forth, how that functions, so we can shed as much light as it sounds like he needs or would like to have in regards to that, not related to this, but related to the health of that lake. Mr. Calhoun should be able to assist you with that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
One more speaker, David Syme.
Mr. Sine, any other speakers on this matter?
No, sir.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Sine.
How you doing? I'm not a public speaker, a little nervous side here, but my family's been in the same house on that lake for 78 years. We've never had the government come in and dump $30,000 worth of chemicals in the lake to take care of it.
If you give us your name and address for the record, please.
1491 Herondwood Place, Winter Park, Florida, 32792.
And your full name?
David Syme, S-Y-M-E.
Yes, sir.
We own 28 acres of raw land, the only raw land left on that lake. It has all the otters, turtles, birds, and everything else. The island is the same way. And I'm totally against the solution of dumping. I've got the estimates on the Lake Association and from these people that it would cost $30,000 or $40,000 to spray chemicals in the lake. That's not, you're taking an issue that was man-made, created by all the stuff we're putting in there, and then we're going to fix it by dumping a bunch of chemicals in there. I was also told, well, what about the fish? And they said, well, just don't eat the fish for a couple of weeks. Well, what about the birds? What about the wildlife there? I think it's totally wrong to dump chemicals in that lake when the water quality is good. The only problem we have on that lake right now is it floods every year now because it's not draining right on the Tuscaloosa side. The water's stagnant over there. It's blocked up on both sides of the bridge. And for the last 2 years, my neighbor's docks has been there since 1971, has been underwater a fourth of the year for the last 2 years. Now, getting back to him saying about the chemicals, where do you think all those chemicals are going when the lake rises 20, 30, 40 foot up in people's yards, which it did in my yard and my neighbor's yard? All that stuff's going right back in the lake, and we're going to fix it by dumping chemicals in there, and I'm just not for it, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Okay, we will close the public hearing portion of this item and go to the district commissioner. This is Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for staff. I'm looking at assessment Phase 2, the 5-year installments, and it says the assessment at $1,485.15, which it says 5 installments in 5 years, and each year is $335.63. But that equates to $1,678. I don't understand the math.
Allow me, we can look into that for sure and let you know.
I mean, I'm in favor of doing the MSBU. That's not the issue. The issue is the math.
I understand.
I think doesn't have to do with the option of a property owner can pay that all in one lump sum?
No, so for Phase 2, there's no lump sum, it's ongoing, so it never falls off, so there's nowhere for you to pay it out. That is only possible for Phase 1, which
Okay.
is the capital assessment. They do a big job, the restoration, that you can pay out, but not Phase 2. This is just ongoing.
So we just need to make sure that the math is correct?
Yes.
Sure, we could do that.
Commissioner Lockhart?
Good.
So while we're figuring out which it is it because I guess we are voting on the actual assessment.
Right, that's what-
Which is going to prevail, the monthly or the total?
So you would be voting on the 335.63. So that is what we've calculated for the annual.
Okay.
Based on the 30,000, that does include our assessment fees. It includes, we do also factor in the potential for the 4% discount as well. So it includes everything in that. I do think, if anything, the assessment, that 14,885, that is wrong.
Okay.
Because based on our breakdown, it was 335.
Okay, so for our purposes and for the motion maker, we should probably ignore the total amount and just talk about the 335.63 monthly?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Annually, sorry.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance authorizing chairman to execute the ordinance creating the Bear Gully Lake Management Municipal Service Building Unit, MSBU, and 2 initial variable rates assessment rolls for Phase 2 MSBU services of an annual installment of $335.63.
Monthly.
Monthly.
Annually.
It's annual.
Yeah, it's annual.
Oh, annual.
It's
It
annual.
says
My
annual.
bad, my bad.
Annual.
My bad.
Annual. Yep.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Hearing none, carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next item up is County Attorney's Report. Ms. LaTorre?
I have no report today, Chairman.
Amazing. Next is the County Manager's Report.
Same here, no report, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. We will move to District Commissioner reports. Commissioner Delary, you're up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to acknowledge an event that I went to this past Saturday, which is February the 8th, over in Oviedo, for the Oviedo Memorial Post 243, Fort Chaplains ceremony. I know we've spoken about this before in the past with the Post. They're recognizing the 4 chaplains that went down with the Dorchester on February 3rd, 1943. It's pretty significant, obviously, as well as other things that took place during World War II. The Dorchester was sunk by a torpedo from a U-boat off the coast of Greenland. The 4 chaplains was a Methodist, a Catholic, a Dutch Reform, and a rabbi. They did a phenomenal job recognizing them, and it'll be an ongoing event. And I just want to commend them, Oviedo Memorial Post 243, for doing this. And next year, I'm sure more people will be there. End of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Constantine, District 3.
Thank you very much. I wanted to inform you that at the Florida Association of Counties Tech Summit in Ocala, there was a really interesting seminars on cybersecurity and broadband specifically. And the one thing that I can report to you that I'm very pleased with is that Florida's ahead of most of the other states in the nation when it comes to broadband. So, yay for us. Every once in a while we do something better than others, but we are doing that. I did want to congratulate the Seminole County Arts Council. Commissioner Deloria and I both gave away awards. I was very proud that our good friend Donna Bundy received an award for that, and it was a great event.
Don't forget Diane Merck.
Yep, I was going to say, that's what you pointed that. Also, on February 4th at the Board of Directors meeting for the OEP, I just wanted to let you know a couple of things. Number one, they've now done 200 projects. The latest is with Charles Schwab in Maitland, and I will guarantee you that the number of those folks that are coming in, it's supposed to be 30,000 new jobs, but a lot of them are going to live in Seminole County because they want the school district and the school system. But in addition to that, we also, there was a couple of things that came up. Number one, that Orlando region, us, had the largest growth domestic product this past year at 10% in the nation. And that we had we were number 10 in the best metropolitan area for STEM professionals. So that was kind of nice, a couple of things that came up. At the Calno meeting, it was in Altamont Springs this past week, and our good friend Frank Martz gave a rousing 1-hour discussion of all the great things that Altamont's doing. But I'm not going to go into that for you. Also, if you didn't know, the Greek church, which does the Greek Fest and everything, had a big table extraordinaire this past week, and they were auctioning off items that would go to things like domestic violence and also human trafficking programs. But it was amazing, the different place settings and table settings that were there. It was just amazing. And I was at the dinner that on Friday.
How was the food?
Greek. Delicious. Anybody that, my favorite is baklava. I can't get enough of that, but it is very good.
That's the last.
That's the last thing you want to eat, I know, but I love it. The Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association, I went to their State of Tourism and Hospitality and the different trends that were going on there. Also, I did want to let you know that as many of you know, I flew in from Washington, D.C. this morning for the National Association of Regional Councils. We at the dinner last night for the Board of Directors, I was able to invite Congressman Darren Soto. He came, and he was really great with the 75 members that were there. And also today, I asked Congressman Webster to speak to them on transportation issues at the Library of Congress. And I was not aware, and maybe others were, but that he is now the ranking member in trains and other mobility programs up there. So he's going to be a good one for us on that.
Write that down.
Yeah, I was very excited about that. Today, you've seen all those 5 new restaurants that are coming in right there where they used to have furniture stores in Altamont Springs on 436. One of them, Raising Cane, opened up this morning. I just made it from the airport to there. They had lines wrapped around coming in. It's chicken fingers.
Chicken tenders.
It's chicken tenders.
Fried chicken.
But for some reason, it comes from Midwest, and it's huge. People, they love it.
Did you pick any up?
Huh? Yeah, I did have a little bit of it. That's right, it was very good. Also, I did tomorrow is a Metro Plan meeting that Commissioner Deloria and I will be at. I'm not going to bring up, well, I'll let you do the state of the county. And let me see, just a couple of other things before I end. The Regional Planning Council will be doing the Diamonds Award at Lake Mary Center. on the 19th of February, which is always a great event. And the Rotary Club of Altamont Springs will be doing the Taste of Altamont around Crane's Roost on the 20th. And in addition, the same day, the City of Altamont Springs is going to open up their Global Innovation Lab. And I'm going to leave the dream. In addition, I did want to make some appointments today. One of them being, or three of them, one is the reappointment of Lynn Dichter to the Historical Commission. Another is Tracy Fleming for the Animal Control Board. And a new appointment, Sky Buckner, who is with the Lake Mary Marriott for the Tourist Development Council.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Like sign? Hearing none. Commissioner Delarey is absent.
And I do want to ask that, because Commissioner Lockhart asked last week, if we're still doing resolutions or whatever, we're doing, or letters, whatever we're doing. I don't know what that is, because, Commissioner, Mr. Gray is changing the rules every week. But whatever your policy is now, Darren, I would like them to go to the two folks that are leaving, Ms. Don Doherty, who, the Tourist Development, who is retiring, and Ms. Bridget Lake, who is also can no longer has the time to be able to do it for the Animals Control Board. And also, I just wanted to thank the Office of Emergency Management for the Tornado Action Plan. I have a picture that I'm going to pass down of our hardworking staff doing their thing during the trial. It was, again, it was something that, you just love to see that people are getting
Safety
not
first.
only involved, safety first, and also understanding that drill, baby, drill, I guess, when it comes to tornadoes.
Tornado drill, or
when it comes to tornadoes.
or in the Gulf of America.
Oh, please. That's it.
All right, Commissioner. Commissioner Lockhart, District 4.
Oh, goodness. I always feel like when it comes to me, there's like this, I need to take a deep breath before I move on. Lots of things going on between now and our next board meeting, but I did want to say that I spent a considerable amount of time in Tallahassee last week, met with a number of legislators and lobbyists and members of various department staffs, and it was a very positive time up there. There is a letter that I'll be happy to pass down the aisle, the dais, that I asked our county attorney's office to draft. Brajesh drafted this just to memorialize the county's $500,000 commitment to the Sunshine Corridor for the PD&E. Obviously, everybody in the community already knows about this because it's been talked about so many times, but this letter just memorializes that, and we've CC'd all of you and the other members of the CFCRC. Of course, this Friday is Valentine's Day, so whoever your special person is in your life, be sure and remember to do something nice for them. The Saturday is Celebrate Lake Mary, which is a great annual event that's hosted by the City of Lake Mary. Hope to see folks out there. Monday is President's Day, so honor your favorite, whoever that may be. I won't tell you who I think yours should be, because I have mine, you have yours, and that's okay. Additionally, this next week, actually tomorrow, while you're at MPO, I'll be in Sumter County for the Medical Examiner Board. Thank you, Commissioner Zembauer. And
it's a fun drive.
Yeah, so I believe Christian Swenson and maybe a couple of other staff members are going to be joining. I know that you have all been briefed and brought up to speed on the latest situation there, so staff will be able to provide you additional information, I'm sure, after tomorrow's meeting. Sorry, a couple of different things. There is are you going to talk about the Sylvan Lake ribbon cutting? Loop Park, okay. There is going to be a trail ribbon cutting at Sylvan Lake Park for the Loop on Tuesday, the 18th at 10. That's, I know, something that everybody's excited. Folks on that side of town are really excited about that opening up. Talked about the Diamond Awards. There is Saturday, the 22nd. It's a big day. We have the Seminole County Gardening Expo that's put on by our master gardeners and partners over at the Extension office. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's all sorts of fun things going on there. So if you are a plant person, or if you want to buy half a cow, or if you want to buy worm composting tea, or any of those kinds of fun, interesting things, you want to be at the Seminole County Gardening Expo on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. You can last year I was able to pet a cow, so that was a lot of fun. Then you also, if music is your thing, we have Porch Fest in downtown Sanford, Saturday the 22nd, starting at 11, bands all over downtown Sanford on different people's porch fronts. It's a fabulous event if you've never been. And then that evening is the Seminole State Dream Gala, which is one of our biggest fundraisers for the Foundation for Seminole State College, and this year's theme is magic. So however you choose to dress for that, whatever that looks like to you, have at it. Again, a lot of great things going on. So also I'm going to, just a note of personal, we have a staff member who is going to be getting married between now and our next meeting, and so congratulations and best wishes to Tim Jex and his soon-to-be bride Allison. They will be getting married the end of February, but before our next meeting. So I don't see Tim here. I was going to say something.
He's listening.
Oh, is he? Congratulations, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm sorry, you've stimulated something in my mind. I wanted to also, birthdays, Christian is going to have a birthday on the 14th. Can you believe he is his Valentine's Day? Christian, our Darth Vader.
Really? You just call him a Darth Vader?
Well, he didn't call him a Sith Lord.
I love him.
It's a couple.
And also our fellow colleague on the 20th of February is having another birthday, Bob Delory.
Oh, yay, Bob. Happy birthday.
But I don't think he wants us to sing us.
Feels good to be 50, huh?
At least I'm not the one that's Darth Vader calling him, but Father, you don't.
All good?
One last thing.
Sure.
So in addition to today being Our Lady of Lourdes Feast Day, it is also National Inventors Day. And yes, and this day is to celebrate the ingenuity and innovation of inventors throughout history and to encourage future generations to be inventive and think outside the box.
Okay. Commissioner Herr, District 5.
I know you guys don't know this, but I have actually invented something and patented it one time in my life.
Did you? What was it?
Nice.
A necklace.
For real? Was it like poppet beads necklace? Because those were fun.
It was a poppet diamond, yeah. I'll show it to you sometime.
I love that.
I'm going to start out, my
hooked to a
entire
man's bank
goal here
account?
with my district report is not to stimulate anything in Lee Constantine.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to put something down.
So I'm going to start out by saying thank you for the well wishes. Go Eagles. They did win. Thus the Eagle outfit with the Eagle. There we go. There's a fan in the room. I did not take part in the tearing down of the streetlights in the city, just so you know. I did attend the Touch a Truck Disaster Equipment Showcase, and it is marvelous how that kids just love that event. It's just fun to watch them.
Yes, they do.
It was happening at the same time that there was a groundbreaking for the Ace Cafe of Sanford. So closed down in Orlando, moving to Sanford. And it was not a groundbreaking, it was a ground shaking. And they have all the old muscle cars, hundreds of them, and they rev up their engines all at the same time. I'm sure the city got complaints. It was pretty cool. But the folks are thinking that they may be open if all permitting and approvals through the city of Sanford go well by the summer or late summer, maybe early fall, I don't know. But we're anticipating a great new venue in downtown Sanford. I will be participating on February 11th Actually, it's not February 11th, but February 11th is a meeting, but there is a Orlando Business Journal Executive Women's Mentoring Program, and I will be participating in that event. I do want to call out the fact that we had a couple of citizens today that were exceptionally complimentary of our team, particularly Joy, who was apparently a joy to work with, and Mr. Calhoun. And I just want to say that I think the compliments to staff happen every day. We don't often hear them. We hear the other end of that spectrum, but we know that everybody out there is doing really good work. And I would also say that I certainly appreciate it when citizens actually come in and treat the staff so respectfully and cordially. It's wonderful to see that happening. And that concludes my report.
Very good. You know, when it gets down to me, everybody's pretty much covered everything, which is great. Sanford Orlando International Airport, as many of you have been following the news, there's been some exciting news there with MOUs, letters of intent to move forward with some significant development projects on the land side of the business, which is some improvements and developments that will serve the retail market. Estimates somewhere in the area about $300 million in revenue to be spent there once these get moving, and probably more as one of the big ones wants to go through phase one and then possibly into a phase two, phase three, if phase one is as successful as they believe it will be. Travel in and out of the airport has continued to increase with the economy and as things have, post-COVID have occurred. State of the county is February 14th on Valentine's Day. I want to thank all my fellow commissioners and those constitutionals and staff for putting everything together and getting everything ready and queued up, ready to go. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. The March 6th, 10 a.m. ribbon cutting for the State Road 426 on Broadway in Oviedo for the opening of that new segment of roads. Also, I want to thank staff. We had community meetings related to two drainage projects, Old Mims Road and the Lake Harney Circle. And I will tell you, very impressed with staff's ability to help these people understand what's really happening. There's a lot of discussion in my district, especially along the river in Lake Harney and Lake Jessup, that there's this perception that Orange County and the city of Orlando has some magic drain that they keep opening and sending all the water to Seminole County. And it's an ongoing dialogue. And I think staff's done a pretty good job in saying, that's really not the case in a polite manner, that there's no evidence of that. There's no spillway. There's no secret valve that they can open and send all the water to us, albeit we all know it drains north anyway. So arguably from Indian River County north, most of it's coming this way through the river. Also, mark your calendars for the Boy Scout dinner on April 24th. Love to see all of you be able to make it if you can. That's one of the fundraisers we do here, I do here locally for the Boy Scouts, and goes to a great cause. Finally, I will go to the chairman's area, which is item 27 on your agenda, to approve the board appointments of Maya Athanas, County Planning Department non-voting member, from 10/1/2024 to 9/30/2028, and Aaron Archie, a non-impacted citizen voting member, from 10/1/2024, 9/30/2028 to the Sanford Aviation Noise Abatement Committee. And that is a board appointment. I'll make the motion for those to be reappointed, or one to be reappointed and one new appointment to that board.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none. That is the conclusion of my report. I sincerely appreciate everybody. Next, we'll go to public comment on non-agenda items. Ms. Dominique, is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item?
Yes, sir. There are two speakers, Judy Bonstadt and James Gorman.
Again, the last names?
Judy Bonstadt and James Gorman.
Ms. Bonstadt, if you would come forward, spell the second one for me.
Gorman.
One N. Okay. Mr. Gorman, you'll be next.
Oh, gosh. long day with you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Judy Bonstadt, 1170 Talmoid Street, Winter Springs, Florida. My main concern is addressed to you, Jay, because you're over our area.
Sure.
Okay? And basically, what are we doing about the engineering situation for the drainage and everything and the ditches in that area?
Staff, if engineering staff, you could get with this resident and also direct her to the city of
In other
Winter
words, the base study occurring in Little Lake Howe, Soldier Creek, G Creek Basins, and Lake Jessup Basin, and engineers are still finalizing the date for the final report. And this is back in '24 when we started doing this. You were supposed to walk around in our neighborhood. You never did that or anything. You had all the engineer people out there and stuff. I'd like to know what's going on with all this.
So you and I may not have seen each other, but I was out there on the ground, met many of the residents, both on the Winter Springs side and the county side, and there's a basin study going on there. Winter Springs has studies which I supplied to many of the people out there that was done 6 years ago and never acted upon.
Right.
So our engineering staff is coordinating with the city staff because we don't have full jurisdiction through that area.
Okay.
We only have jurisdiction to a certain point. We've already cleaned up a good portion of our side as far as debris removal and taking on those culvert replacements and the banks of those streams and so forth. The city side have done some, but not all. So the basin study will identify further enhancements or improvements that would be done.
Okay, when will it be done?
Yeah, I can have our Public Works Director, Mr. Slot, he'll meet you out in the hallway, and he can
Okay,
update you.
because I'd like to know when this is going to be done, because this has been going on for 7-8 years and everything, okay?
Sure.
And being that we're in a tri-county area and everything, just like this, I'm gone to you guys, I went to Winter Springs yesterday, gone to, Longwood's done the most for us and everything, and after this, if nothing's going to get done, I'm going higher up into the government. Okay? I just want to let you know, another thing is the Avenue Apartments too. They need to be addressed and all, because apparently there is a situation where they have their area of cleanup, and anything over on the other side is either county or Winter Springs, and nobody's taking care of it. And we call code department and everything, nothing ever gets done. So is there anything, as you, as county commissioners, can get this where we talk to each other and get these things done? And all, because I like to have our area just as nice. We're getting ready to build a senior center on the end, over there on 1792 and 434, right on the other end of our street and everything. That's going to be 144 units there. So we need to get this kind of situation addressed.
I'll have Mr. Slot.
Yeah, and have Mr. Slot get with my office. I've got all the background notes and so forth, along with the city of Longwood and Winter Springs
You got a lot of notes and
on this
everything.
matter.
As far as I'm concerned, you're not getting anything done, Jack.
Great. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
Okay, Mr. Gorman.
Hi, my name's Jim Gorman. I live in Oviedo at 2996 Cedar Glen Place. I showed up here October of last year with a complaint about a restaurant that's being run as a nightclub. They were okay for a little while, and they just started up about a month ago where they're ramping up the volume, and they're open to sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I started going over, and because I knew I was going to come to this meeting, I went over there with my phone and recording the time of night that they're playing the music and trying to get the volume in the music, because I knew I was going to come here and I wanted some background. So I went there on Saturday night, and I photographed from the parking lot with my camera, and I left. And again, Sunday night, I went there, same spot, took the camera out, started the video, and there were 3 or 4 guys in front of where the front door is to this restaurant. And one of them came over to me and said, "Why are you taking my picture?" I said, "I'm not." I said, "I'm just recording. It's a public area. I can record what I want." And he came and he said, I want your phone. I said, no, you're not getting my phone. He said, you gotta delete my photograph off your phone. I said, I'm not doing it. No. So I went back to get in my car and leave. He stopped me from getting in my car. I started to back up and I was going to dial 911, but it was still on video. By the time I got it to dial 911, I was close to my car. It connected to my car. So I couldn't hear the deputy on the phone. Meanwhile, he knocked me to the ground. He punched me in the side of the head a couple times. And as soon as I could get up from the ground, I ran over to the 7-Eleven to try to get him to call 911. This guy was all over me. So I called the sheriff and I filed a complaint. But that's where I stand now. This is still happening with the loud music, and it's unbearable. I can't use my backyard at night. It's all weekend long. It's Tuesday nights, Thursday nights. I just can't live this way. So I'd like someone to try to do something to help us out. Thank you.
So I think you're Commissioner Delarie's district.
I've been
and
talking to the Sheriff's Department, and they are addressing it appropriately.
Okay. All right.
I don't really have any more information than that because
Understood.
I don't have any more information.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Glad you're
horrible.
good. Any other members of the public that have filled out any forms to speak on non-agenda items?
No, sir.
Seeing nothing else, the meeting shall be adjourned.